Yeah, it's been at least 20 years. Talking about water bill. Always has to be, which is fine.
There's too many, that's always good. It's not like beach?
Where was that? Oh.
I'll help, definitely. I will help you, definitely. Hey.
Oh, I do.
All the EMS people are here because and all the Boy Scouts are
Door and say, more than happy. I do it myself. Homework Saturday. And I have some stuff. You get email. Pick the reading.
Ready? And welcome. Birthday girl. Yeah.
sorry, I'm sick today, so I'm not going to make it up.
I wouldn't be all that happy about that.
We're ready.
It'll be a long one.
Things that I could have said about you, but I didn't want to, like, on and on.
Thanks. It's number 12.
Get ready. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Tuesday, August 19th, 2014 City of Oldsmar Council meeting. At this time, I'd like you to rise for our invocation and our pledge, led by our City Attorney, Mr. Tom Trask.
Heavenly Father, may we come to understand that blessings are everywhere, that our attitudes will affect outcomes, that challenges are often gifts in disguise. May we come to trust that most things can get better with time, that our instincts and gut feelings have value, and that a positive attitude makes things go smoother. In this we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Once again, welcome to tonight's City Council meeting, also going to be referred to as the Beaverland Haddock Award Show tonight. You'll find that out later on, so welcome. Our first agenda on tonight is our Citizens Open Forum. This is where we allow you to address the council. We only have a couple of rules that you keep it to no more than 5 minutes. Do not address anything that is on tonight's agenda, and state your name and address loudly for the record. Having said that, anybody on this side of the room would like to address the council? Yep, Frank.
Frank Chicola, 598 Canal Way. I know we have something else on the agenda and this has nothing to do with it. I've been to many ceremonies around the states on Purple Heart Day, except for Oldsmar. I've been to Dunedin a couple weeks ago. I hear everybody talk about how they're for veterans and how they support veterans because many years ago, I think it was 2006, we got Dunedin what they wanted was to become a Purple Heart City. We had a chapter there that was pushing it, an American Legion and everything else. And I think Anderson was in and he was a big supporter of it. I would like to see Oldsmar become a Purple Heart City. I did a lot of investigation on it. I've got a lot of information on it. It's not like it's going to cost the city anything. It's just a place we'd have a monument in our park, a Purple Heart monument. It would require an extra ceremony during Purple Heart Day, and Oldsmar would really be recognized as a true veteran city. I do many claims, and I've noticed just last week I've done 5 claims over here, Agent Orange claims, just of people that live in Oldsmar. I've got 2 scheduled Thursday. There's more and more veterans moving into Oldsmar. I believe just the county has 95,000 veterans that are in this county. Wow. And that'll be our next objective, is to get in the county to move as a Purple Heart County. But right now, I'd like to see, especially being part of this Veterans Committee, it would be an honor to know that Oldsmar would become a Purple Heart city. So I'm hoping that the council kind of gets together and thinks about that and can get back with us on it.
Sure, I think we'd be glad to do that. I think we've had kind of some preliminary discussions about it, and I think you'd probably find some support from that.
Okay.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Frank.
Anybody else on this side of the room like to address? Oh, sorry, yep.
Yes, hi, I'm Father Bob Swick, and I'm a resident of Dunedin, and I'm a past commander of the Dunedin Purple Heart chapter. I'm also very active as an advocate for veterans, and had the pleasure a couple years, not even, about a year and a half ago, to be at the recognition of Tampa being the most recent Purple Heart city in our state of Florida. Right now we have about 21 cities that are recognized as official Purple Heart cities in 17 counties, and it continues to grow. And there's absolutely no reason we shouldn't have that right here in Oldsmar. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side of the room? Anybody on this side or the overflow of the room? Yep. Ed Richards.
E.L. Richards, 352 Lafayette Boulevard, Oldsmar. I'd like to go on 2 things. Frank, I support Frank, what he does for Purple Heart. Okay, he does a lot of work, I know that. Also, just for your information, general information, we have 35 military families, active duty, who bought houses in our community. They want to make this their permanent home. Also, we have, with the new houses being built off Lafayette Boulevard, I already talked to some people walking down there, they are also retired military. People on Arlington over there, he works in MacDill Air Force Base for CENTCOM. So just to let you know, we do have veterans within this city. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Anybody else on this side of the room? Loretta?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Loretta White, 601 Shore Drive East. Well, it's that time again. We're having an election coming up a week from today, the primary, and just wanted to be sure that everybody realize that, so they'll come out and vote. If you got a absentee ballot in the mail and you don't want to use it, if you want to just come to the polls, please bring it with you, the whole envelope.
You have to have that, right?
Yes.
You and I went through that.
Well, you don't have to have it, but
okay.
It makes it easier on you if you do. And we have a new electronic poll book this time, which is a little different. So you need to bring your driver's license or a photo signature or Florida ID, because we'll be using those. So.
And what are the polling stations in Oldsmar, and what time do they open?
Oh, they all open from 7 to 7.
Okay.
The fire station, the library, and Gulair are the 3. So please come on out and vote. You got a lot of people on the ballots, and they need your vote one way or the other. So just wanted to remind everybody. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Loretta.
Did you raise your hand, Chief? Just waving at me. I didn't know.
Dean O'Neill, Fire and EMS Chief. I see on the agenda tonight we have a lot of celebrations. I want to pass along a bit of sad news. After 10 years with the City of Oldsmar, Brian Peters is him and his family are moving to Franklin, Tennessee to continue their life together. And I just want to tell him I really appreciate 10 years of running calls and making us all look good. So
that's awesome. That's not a bad place to go.
I kind of ambushed him, made him be here tonight. He didn't realize I was going to say this, but I did want to say one thing that Brian did that I've never seen a firefighter do. He came here without being a firefighter, went through the academy. I've never seen someone of his size get lost in a training prop at the size of this podium, but thank you.
Anybody else on that side or in the room in general? that I'm missing? Do I see any hands? Seeing no one else, I'll close the citizens open forum. And as we roll into the city of Oldsmar, I'd like to welcome Captain Lubin, and he can introduce our new community police officers.
Good evening. I'm back. As we talked the last commission meeting, we saw Rick off to his new assignment, and Corporal Redmond, now he got promoted out of, so we lost our 2 CPOs, but we didn't. We've got 2 that are back now. Deputy Johnny Long, who's worked out here for a long time, lives out here, is back as a Oldsmar Community Policing Deputy. And Deputy Don Clace just came from an assignment down in the other end of the county, and he's worked up here in the city of Oldsmar and other community policing areas as well. So these are your 2 CPOs. They've been out and about, hopefully have introduced themselves to the city staff.
I've never met that one before.
This one? Yeah. So we met a few residents outside that asked, and they got their cards. So they're going to be out and about, and please let us know if we can do anything with the CPOs.
Well, thank you and welcome. We met the other day out in my neighborhood. He's like, "Who are you?"
Welcome. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Anybody that sees him walking in the street.
Also, by the next meeting, they'll probably be, theirs are out getting their finishing touches up with the tailoring. So
nice.
They'll be in green
Good
by
deal.
the next meeting. So.
This city has been extremely lucky to have who we've had here. I mean, extremely lucky. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Next is the City of Oldsmar. First item, consider the reappointment of John Benincasa, Virginia.
We skipped 2. We need to consent.
Oh, I'm sorry, consent docket. I was looking at my notes for them. Consent docket, approved payment to legal counsel and approved contract with Jones Edmunds for engineering services for utilities. Does anybody wish to pull anything? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you. You should know these guys down here don't participate very much.
We should just take turns.
Yeah. Okay, now's the City of Oldsmar. Consider reappointment of John Benincasa, Virginia Cash-Renbjor, did I say that right? And Dan Saracki to the Leisure Services Advisory Board. Are they all here? I saw Dan, John.
There's a lot of knowledge coming up here, man.
Yeah, well, we thank you for coming, and one of the reasons we do this, and we're probably going to revisit this, is a lot of us have not met everybody that's on all of our boards, and it gives us a chance to do that. But since we have repetitive times where you guys serve, we wind up knowing you, and so we're probably going to revisit making you come every single time. But I don't know, does anybody have any questions of them?
Thank you for serving.
Just
Yeah.
thank you.
And I think the Leisure Services Board is prepared to probably, the way the economy's changed, it's really got some potential that we could really make the city a great city moving forward. So we definitely look forward to your input on a lot of the items. I know you've got some stuff working.
We have the most fun board. We have a lot of fun.
Are you issuing a challenge to the other boards?
Yes, I am.
We're up for a softball game anytime you are.
You said that about the other board.
Uh-oh.
Which one?
You're catching on, Jerry.
Yeah. This is the most fun board tonight.
There you go. This is
Yeah.
our catcher.
No, we really have a good time. It's a great, Lynn Reeves does a great job. We're honored to be a part of his group. It's just a lot of fun, and we get a lot of things done, and it's exciting.
Well, thanks so much for coming up, and I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
So a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0.
Over there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Next is the first part of the award show that we have, and that's the presentation of the City Council City Manager Award, and that will be handled by Councilman Jerry Beaverland. Sit back and enjoy.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a This is one things that a councilman gets to do, and they've been able to do this for 24 years. And that's to recognize someone in the community that has outstanded themselves in the community. Tonight I have the privilege of 3. I thought this would be my last time to do this, and so I thought I'm going to have 3 of them, and I found out I've got one more, Mayor. Anyway, tonight I'm going to start off with a very happy, serious. By the way, where did you get lost?
Brian.
He's lost now.
He said you got lost somewhere. Where'd you get lost? Yeah, where? In a suit or what?
Training prop.
Am I not listening, Dean? I want Dean, our fire chief, to come up. I want him to help me with this one. He recommended that for this one, and this is a happy, serious one. And that's why I want him to take over.
Thank you, Councilman. On June 18, 2014, Oldsmar Fire Rescue crews responded to a report of a person having seizures. While en route to the call, additional information was provided by dispatch that CPR was in progress, indicating a patient was in cardiac arrest. On arrival, our crews were met by family members who took them to the patient, Mr. Ray Horan, in his backyard. When they got there by Mr. Horan's side, they found Dusty Showers, his neighbor, doing really effective CPR. Oldsmar Fire Rescue and some Sunstar ambulance paramedics and EMTs provided advanced life support care to the patient, transported him to East Countryside Hospital after reviving him. They were able to get his heart beating again. And over the course of his treatment, his heart stopped 3 or 4 more times. The statistics for out-of-hospital cardiac arrest are pretty grim. About 380,000 people a year suffer out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. Of that, only about 35% have somebody initiate CPR. And of that, only about 3% survive. Ray would not be here today with us had it not been for the proven chain of survival of bystander CPR, rapid defibrillation, excellent and effective ALS care, and the post-cardiac care provided by the hospital. The odds are that if you ever do CPR, it's going to be on a family member or someone you know, like a neighbor. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Dusty for his quick action and willingness to assist our EMS crews, because Ray would not be here without him today. Now, Ray and your family and Dusty, come on up. Our crew from Engine 54, as well as Ross Panay, who works for Sunstar Ambulance. The fire service is a team effort. EMS is a team effort. And without these people who met each other that day, we would not be celebrating someone who is 48 years old, who has a lot of life left in him. Some pictures over here. Okay, great. Hang on.
Let me steal this.
Oh, please.
Hey, as a citizen of Oldsmar, I saw all these guys at work, the firemen and first responders, and we're in good hands. So you guys, awesome. I love it. Since Ray wasn't alive to tell the story.
I thought I'd just take a nap at the time, but it was, it is definitely an experience, I'll tell you that much. Not one I'm going to go through again, I hope. But as I said, if it wasn't for Dusty and all the first responders especially, and all the work that they did, and the medical staff putting my system back together, I sure as heck wouldn't be here talking to you all today. But I will say this, is that if it wasn't for you guys, and I mean, thank you is a word or a phrase that we all use, and it's like saying hi and passing by. Hey, how you doing? Oh, that's nice, great. But the feelings and emotions that go through the words thank you when I say the chief and his crew and all the ladies and gentlemen standing behind me, and Dusty especially. It means a lot more than just words. It's actual emotions and feelings, and I don't know how I can possibly repay everybody for the wonderful act that they did, but thank you all very much.
Before we line up, Dean, come up here with this picture. Before we line up for a photograph, see, I know how you feel. These guys are incredible, and the beautiful lady. I had to call them in 1997, and because of their efforts, they gave me my oldest son. They gave me 9 more months with him. I know how you feel. Everybody in this city loves y'all. Sometimes you may not love us, but we love y'all. Thank you. Oh, by the way, the ex-mayor up here on the end warned me about the guy in the pink shirt. He says, usually it's a pink coat or something. Thank you all.
Congratulations, Dusty.
Thank you.
Dusty wears pink because he's an advocate for cancer and probably one of the biggest in the Bay Areas, and actually rode across country not too long ago wearing a pink bra, or several pink bras. So. He's the one man that's not afraid to say he wears a pink bra. You had nice tan lines, by the way, Dusty.
If I had known that, we could have fixed that award a little different. So thank you all. That was a when you give an award like that out, it's exciting, isn't it, Jason? The other two is that I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want all the every city has Boy Scouts. Every state has but they don't have Troop 64. And that's what's important. Troop 64, come on up here. Not a Boy Scout of anything, come on up here. That's what this is all about. Let me tell you something. You would not have scouts if you didn't have scout leaders. It's like you wouldn't have Little League unless you didn't have parents. We moved here in 1967, and I am almost older than dirt, Mayor.
Yep.
First thing my youngest did was join the Scouts, or my oldest one joined the Scouts. I was going to have them put some pictures up here about with my kids as Scouts in the city of Oldsmar. All 3 of my sons were Scouts. The oldest son that we lost, he was a Scout. In my new book, in my last book that I'm writing now, which is almost finished, there's going to be a chapter on Troop 64. The Boy Scouts of the city of Oldsmar. I remember when we dedicated the McDonald's. This city had a McDonald's when we only had 800 people in it. People couldn't understand why we had a McDonald's with only 800 people. Well, the owner of McDonald's lived in Oldsmar, and he now has, or the family now has 35 McDonald's. The Scoutmaster at that time was 6 foot 6 inches. and he ended up being a mayor in 1979. And the Scouts were there at the McDonald's, and I got a picture of them raising the flag and saluting the flag. Gang, I'm gonna give this to the Scoutmaster.
Senior patrol leader,
Who?
Alex, our senior patrol leader. Boy Scout in charge of the Boy Scout troop right now.
You want to arm wrestle for it? Council Manager Award of Recognition to Boy Scout Troop 64, August 2014, the City of Oldsmar. Now you have to say something.
Don't worry, we got all night.
Pass her down there.
Say, I'm glad
I'm glad
to accept this
to accept this
for Troop 64.
for Troop 64.
You got the tall one and the short one. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How long were you troop master? Scoutmaster?
7 years.
And
But he's been with the troop longest, 1992.
I know, you've been there forever. I thought you're older than I am. I know you're not.
I'm the young one up here. I've only been here for about 5 years.
I was the troop 8 years and the pack 7 years.
Thank you all. Give them a hand. In here. Mayor?
Yes?
You need your picture with these guys.
I'll get it with him. Go ahead, bunch in there.
Guys, don't be afraid.
Mayor, get up here. Y'all don't laugh at him. He's not funny.
Can you get us all?
I think so. Thank you.
John, you stay up here. This would not be complete if we didn't give an award to the current Scoutmaster. Now I've known John. See, how big were you? No, you were littler than that.
4 when I moved here.
Well, that's littler than that. I knew John when they moved here, so I've known him all of his life, and he has dedicated himself to the Scouts. I know all these youngins in the Scouts. And to be a Scout leader, to dedicate yourself as a Scout leader, it takes a lot of time, but it's worth it, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
Wall over there.
That's right. See, the Scouts were in the city of Oldsmar, I believe they were established in 1964. And so far, how many Eagle Scouts have you?
23.
23 Eagle Scouts.
And 4 in the wings right now.
4 in the wing.
Got the wrong paper.
Janice would want me to say this. He's a graduate of the Oldsmar Citizen Academy. A Citizen Academy. He was a Cub Scout leader, but it doesn't. Hey, look, it's your dedication now, and the council wants to present this to you for your dedication, not only to the city of Oldsmar, your service, other places, and your service here to these kids. Thank you.
it's hard to follow, especially Dusty coming up here this evening. Myself as leader, the other leaders that were up here with me, we all do it for the same reason, for the boys. We wouldn't do it if it wasn't for them. And to see them grow and mature and be senior patrol leader, and if Alex had a speech prepared, he would have, had something to say because he, all these guys, they learn how to talk in front of people and really prepare them for life. So even though we've got 23 Eagle Scouts, which is awesome, we've got hundreds of scouts that have come through the program and learned so much and has really prepared them for life. And that's why, as leaders, we do it. And appreciate everybody's support in the community that supports the Boy Scouts here in Oldsmar. Thank you.
Cha-cha slide.
Can't get us in there. I have to say one thing. Councilperson McGee has requested that all the Boy Scouts stay here for the full meeting.
Say you don't believe him.
He needs to write down their excuses for school.
That concludes the Beevelin portion of the award show. Next up is our city manager for the Employee Service Awards.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the recipients listed in the agenda packet is working tonight, so we'll postpone and do that later. That's for Charlie Lee. So I'll be going by seniority this evening, and the first award will be presented to Tim Jacobson.
While he's walking up here, Tim has attended more council meetings than I have. He really has attended more council meetings than I have.
And why don't you introduce who came with you tonight?
My daughter Chelsea, my wife Ellen.
We're glad that you all came too. Here you go. Service Award in recognition for 20 years of service to the city of Oldsmar, presented to Timothy Jacobson, 1994 to 2014. Congratulations, Tim. And of course, 20 years is a milestone, and you're up here just short 5 years ago getting your 15-year award.
That's correct.
And my recollection is I know you work in Public Works, Tim's current position as Senior Engineering Technician, and I think you've been in Public Works all 20 years, right?
Just about.
Was there something else that you did?
Nope.
I could have forgotten it, it has been 20 years. You started in Streets Division, yeah. And anyway, 20 years is a real milestone, and we're happy that we can recognize you on achieving that accomplishment this evening, let you know we appreciate the work that you do. And why don't you take just a minute, and I have a feeling everybody might not know what a senior engineering technician does. In 1 minute, just kind of hit the highlights.
Well, basically, everything you guys do out there on the roads, streets, sidewalks, I have a little part on every bit of it. So by doing my job makes your day go better. So that's it in a nutshell.
That was a good 1 minute version. You did outstanding on that. And but I want to add a little bit to that. Tim is an inspector, and what he inspects are public works projects, and that includes everything from water and sewer lines to stormwater projects to streets and sidewalks, as he mentioned. And that includes not only work that the city might be doing, our own construction projects, but oftentimes if it's a subdivision where the developer is required to construct those things, but they become public property, part of the city's property and public assets. So Tim inspects those jobs as well. So needless to say, over a period of many years, there's been a lot of work done that Tim has been involved in, as he said, that makes life better for all of us. So once again, thanks for your contributions to building Oldsmar. Congratulations. Congratulations. The second award this evening is presented to Cindy Nino. And introduce who you brought with you tonight.
This is my husband, Rob, and my son, Ryan.
We're glad that y'all came this evening also.
Thank you.
The award in recognition for 15 years of service to the City of Oldsmar presented to Cynthia Nino, 1999 to 2014. Cindy currently serves as the finance administrator for the city, and she has worked in finance all 15 years. You had a different job when you started. What was that?
Senior accountant.
Okay, I couldn't remember what it was. And then over a 15-year career, I know that there's been some promotions and other assignments along the way. And you've been the finance administrator for about 4 years, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. I got that part of it right. And most people probably have some idea of what the finance administrator does. And of course, they oversee all of the city's financial activities. And you would know that includes accounting and budgeting and things like that. But some of the other parts of the operation that Cindy has responsibility for include purchasing and utility billing, and she's very instrumental in our IT operation and the financial management system, and that goes out into other areas such as building permits and business tax receipts, and it's kind of a long list. So here we are on your 15th anniversary, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to let you know we appreciate the work that you do and say thank you and offer our congratulations on your 15th anniversary. Congratulations.
Been honored to have such a great place to work for all these years. Let me raise my son, who's getting big now. Baby when I started. And it's a great place to work, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think Ryan was about like in the first grade or something, or not even that far along.
He's about 18 months old.
Is that all? Wow. Hey, we know how old you are now. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, the next award is for 10 years of service, and this is being presented to Neil Toll. I knew I saw you walk in, I just didn't see you jump up that fast, Neil. This service award is in recognition for 10 years of service to the City of Oldsmar, presented to Neil Toll, 2004 to 2014. And would you introduce who you brought with you tonight?
My wife, Diane.
Hi. Glad you came, Diane. You take that. And Neil works in the Parks Division and Leisure Services. And I'm not sure, did you start out in parks?
Yes.
So you worked in parks all 10 years?
No, I went to recycling.
Okay. And that was when we were doing recycling ourselves, and we had those blue boxes that we put out by the curb, and you drove by and emptied those, picked them up, and now Republic Services does the recycling with the carts. But you had left that job before then, yeah. So why don't you take just a minute and tell the folks what you're currently doing.
Right now I'm out at Canal Park doing the ball fields, baseball fields. Been out there for, 6 years?
Time flies, doesn't it? Well, 10 years is an important milestone, and we're happy that we can recognize you this evening on your 10th anniversary with the City of Oldsmar. Gives us an opportunity to tell you we appreciate the work that you do, and just offer our congratulations and an opportunity to say thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to take your picture, though. The next award this evening is presented to Dorothy Larson. Good evening, Dorothy. Who'd you bring with you this evening?
Brought my daughter Diane Haberman and her husband Jeff.
We're glad you came this evening. Y'all been here before?
Yes. Jeff has been here before, but Diane was missing that night. She had to work out of town.
Okay. I wasn't sure, but I thought somebody looked familiar besides you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my.
Take that. Service Award in recognition for 10 years of service to the City of Oldsmar, presented to Dorothy Larson, 2004 to 2014. So tonight we have an opportunity to congratulate you, Dorothy, on hitting the 1 decade mark. And Dorothy works at the Oldsmar Library. Maybe you could take a minute and tell the folks what you do there.
I shelve the books over there and the other materials too. And the library is a great place to, a wonderful environment to be working in. And then again, there's all those books, and I know where they live.
She told us she was the director of the library.
Out tonight, huh? Is that what it was?
That's great.
So I know you know where there's thousands of them, and you know where each one of them lives, I think. And you know, a lot of patrons who visit the library, they go in and they find what they want and they check it out and they leave. But you know, it takes hard work by a lot of people to keep an operation like that going. And Dorothy is a significant part of that. And I'm happy this evening that we can just tell you we appreciate the work that you do. Thank you for your service to Oldsmar and all the library patrons, and keep up the good work. Happy anniversary. The next award is presented to Laura Mataluni.
Thank you.
And who came with you tonight?
This is my husband, Michael.
Glad you came, Michael. Service Award in recognition for 10 years of service to the City of Oldsmar, presented to Laura Mataluni, 2004 to 2014. Congratulations, Laura. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but I usually don't do any research in preparing for these presentations. And I didn't have to do too much tonight. I just kind of make things up as I go along. And yeah, but I did, I wanted to make sure that I went in order. And, you know, I started with Tim. He got his 20-year award, and then, you know, we worked our way down. We had, of course, 3 10-year awards, but I think that the reason Dorothy was ahead of you, I think she started like a week or 2 before you did. Yeah. So I think I got that in the proper order. Currently, Laura is the Parks Operations Supervisor in Leisure Services, and I believe that you've worked all those 10 years in Leisure Services, correct?
Yes.
But you also have started with a different job and had some promotions and different assignments over your 10-year career so far, right?
Yes.
And what was the first job?
I think it was executive assistant or administrative assistant.
Something like that, yes. And along the way, there was also sponsorship and marketing coordinator, wasn't there? Or something like that.
Leisure services specialist, and I just kept bugging Lynn, give me more, let's do something different.
So now you're the Parks Operations Supervisor, and Leisure Services is, just in number of employees, is second largest behind Public Works. So there's always a lot going on, and of course, they have high visibility because we have a lot of parks that people visit, but everyone may not realize this, that those are the same folks that maintain the medians on the state roads and maintain all city properties, the grounds around this building and City Hall and the library. So it's a very extensive operation. And Laura has a big part to play in that and keeping the wheels turning. So we're happy this evening that we can offer our congratulations on your 10th anniversary. Tell you we appreciate the work that you do. Thank you for your service and wish you a happy 10th anniversary. Get a chance.
Oh, okay. I'm very grateful and humbled to be a part of the city of Oldsmar. The 10 years has really enriched my life, and I hope that maybe I've enriched the residents of the city of Oldsmar also. I really appreciate working here.
Congratulations.
And let's see, the next item on the agenda is the presentation of the Government Finance Officers Association Budget Award. I will be doing that. Now, we didn't expect you to do this, but I want Al to come up here too, since he is the director of administrative services. Huh?
So they do best when I get out of the way.
Okay, so you'd like Al to come up here? Come on. Cindy? Al is the one that authored this, so it sounds kind of weird when I say his name and don't acknowledge him. The Government Finance Officers Association established the Distinguished Budget. Garrett, come on up. The Budget Presentation Award Program in 1984 to encourage and assist state and local governments to prepare budget documents of the very highest quality that reflect both the guidelines established by the National Advisory Council on State and Local Budgeting and the GFOA's best practices on budgeting, and then to recognize individual governments that succeed in achieving this goal. Al thought it's appropriate to specifically recognize the work of 3 particular employees. First, Cindy Nino, our finance administrator, was the motivation behind the vision and its execution, while selfishly giving her credit to the entire administrative services department. Once the award was achieved, it was her energy and determination that made this happen. She consistently improves every process we have, and she should be recognized for her leadership in helping the city achieve this award. Cindy. Be outdone are 2 others Not to be outdone, however, are two other employees who made major contributions to the final project. Barbara Schindler, Administrative Services Executive Assistant, and Garrett Zeliff, Management Analyst, were vital in putting the document together and making it look as good as it does. Barbara handles all the narrative pages and coordinates with Garrett on layout, presentation, with photos and other additions. The skills exhibited by both Barbara and Garrett were instrumental in the success of this beautiful document. Cindy and Al are very proud of the team they have in this award, especially since it was successful on its first attempt. It's another example of the quality people we have serving the citizens of the great community. We welcome anyone to take a look at the beauty of this document, and you will agree. And we just had our budget meeting, last Tuesday or the Tuesday before? And while we have great documents, this one was award-winning, I should say. And let me do Government Finance this thing's heavy. Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award presented to the City of Oldsmar. I'll give that to you. And it really is, we go through our budgets, and we were in there a couple of hours the other night, and it flows so beautifully, and it's really easy to follow, and it's important because we have a pretty big budget, like
29 million.
29 million, something like that. And it's all broken out, easy for us to understand, and it really, really does improve every year. And I think they gave narratives and lots of pictures and history about the city of Oldsmar and some of the heritage that's here, thanks to Jerry Beaverland, who he had to fight to get his documents back, I think, or something, didn't he? But I would like to recognize these guys, Al and the team. You guys do a great job every year, and thank you so much. And we'd like to see another one next year because we have a lot of spots. So I did say continues to improve every year. So congratulations. Something? Yes.
In addition to Barb and Garrett, we're also very fortunate to have Amy and Sandy, who contribute a lot to the budget process. But they don't really know how big their contributions are. We have a great team. We couldn't have done it without everybody's help. And hopefully we'll get this thing filled up. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Al, you want to say anything about your great team?
Just that I've been in government for 30 years, and this group is far and away the best finance group I've ever had by far. If I could have a minute to, you don't want me to, but if I explained everything they really do, it's quite impressive.
I was blocking me, good Lord. I don't even know where to go here. I'll block it. Yeah. Oh, it's bleeding. Can you? Thank you. Oh.
And enough with the awards there. We've got all those out of the way. And next is the Pinellas Planning Council presentation about the new countywide plan. Mike Crawford, I believe, from the PPC will be doing that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good. Maybe we'll do this. I know you guys wanted to leave. If the Boy Scouts need to scoot out, we told them we'd try and get them out of here by 8. If you guys want to go, you can. If you can, some need to stay for some awards. So.
But you told them they had to stay, so they're going to stay.
Some of them have to stay for badges, I believe. So.
And I have a PowerPoint presentation. I had to point it out to the lady and gentleman in the back there. I'll put that up. And I only have about an hour and a half to do this. So,
no, you don't.
This is one of the most humorous council meetings that I go to, and I had to add that. So cut that down by a lot. I only have about 15 minutes. And again, I'm Mike Crawford, still the interim executive director for the Pinellas Planning Council. And
it's funny.
We sent you out a mapping package. It was called a 60-day review package, but we've given you an extra month, and it's a 90-day package. And that's why I'm here to talk about our update of our countywide plan. And you know, obviously you can give me your comments, but they'll go through Marie and come to us.
Yes, Mayor. Before you go on, Mike's very familiar with I guess with you also, with Jim and with me. He knows that when I was chairman of the Pinellas Planning Council, people had 5 minutes.
Well, and don't worry, Mike, this isn't cutting into your hour and a half. Well, I've been in Florida for, I don't know, 40 years or something like that, but I still come from Detroit, and I can talk real fast, so we'll do that. But anyhow, I'm here to provide you with a status of the update of our countywide plan. I was here about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and promised you that we would bring you what is an updated countywide plan, and we pretty much finished the major concepts of that plan, and I'd like to just bring you the highlights of that plan. So, oh, there it is, it's up. Okay, good. Just a little bit of background first, and why I'm here, our charge, this is our special act. It was just finally adopted. The governor signed it in February of this year, but we started as a council back in 1965 and went just 2 years before you got here. And since that time, we've had a couple of changes, but this big one in 2012 really gave us a big change in what we do. And some of the direction is shown up on your screen there. Besides making the membership of the Planning Council the same as the Metropolitan Planning Organizations, the unifying of the two boards, which is real important, it gave us some pretty specific direction on our countywide plan. We need to be more based in policy. We need to be much broader in our categories, and we need to have a real strong tie between land use and transportation. We really hadn't had as much of that as we think we needed in the old days. Also, the Special Act asks us to really strongly involve the local governments, the 25 local governments in Pinellas County, and we think we've done that. As to the unification of the two boards, just for Oldsmar's information, it's expected that we will have the boards unified September 10th of this year. And what that means for Oldsmar, actually the council is 13 members today. Mayor Beaverland is, of course, on that council. Sorry. I'm just going to do that tonight. Yeah. It was going to be either Mayor Roniker, or Mayor Beaverland, or Mayor Beavis. So, Mayor Beavis, apologize for that, but I knew I would do that. Anyhow, the membership of the MPO and the PPC will be the same. In other words, the MPO has 11 members now. They will get 2 more members. The council will lose a school board member in this process. We had to make way for those other 2 members. The beach communities go from 2 members to 1, but they'll have direct representation on the MPO now. They never had that before. But specifically for Oldsmar, you'll be off the council. You'll be in the rotating membership with Tarpon Springs and Safety Harbor. And then Oldsmar will be back on in 2016. So just a little bit of information about that. Your representative next year will be from Safety Harbor and likely be Mayor Andy Stengel. So that's just a little quick background. What I will touch mostly on tonight is these 2 maps here. There's a number of maps in your package, but these are the 2 most important ones. I'll go over this briefly, obviously, in hopefully less than 15 minutes, and point you to our website if you need to. There's 2 technical memorandums there, our 60-day review packages there. So if you need more information, you're welcome to go there. Now, the update of the countywide plan evolved from the document that some of y'all remember called the Pinellas by Design. It was developed in the early 2000s. We had a number of symposiums around the county, and it was adopted in 2005. I think Mayor Beaverland and, Councilmember Beaverland and Roniker were part of this over the years. And the plan's still relevant today, even though it was adopted in 2005. And basically what I'm working with here is that map on the right, and that's called our Centers, Quarters, and Districts map. And among other things that whole process did was say we need to link our land use plan with our transportation plan. However, before we could use that map for our detailed land use plan map, we thought it was real important to reestablish the data in that. It was a little bit older, and we actually couldn't find it with our consultants. So we decided to recreate that so we could base our land use decisions on that update.
So what we ended up doing was developed a transit-oriented vision map that was based on this map, which is called an Areas of Growth and Areas of Stability map. It was basically a whole bunch of data that was put together on land use, values of property, what's in the long-range transportation plan for the Metropolitan Planning Organization, a number of things. And that grew into what just popped up on the map, which is a transit-oriented vision map. And that'll be the basis for our land use plan map. This is a new addition. You haven't seen this before, you two, when you were on the council. This is a totally new addition, more future-oriented than the current map that we have. But it is, again, based on the concept with the Centers, Quarters, and District map, but it's more specific to the needs of the new Special Act. It ties in our land use plan, again, the MPO's long-range transportation plan, and even portions of Green Lake Pinellas plan. The other thing about this is, if you have a corridor or an activity center that I'll talk about in just a second on this, with all that data we gathered for that areas of stability and areas of growth map, we've kind of cleared the way for if you want a new corridor or you want a new activity center, you don't have to go through all of those hoops to establish one of those. If it's on the map, we think that it's probably deserving of further review. So we did a lot of the legwork there for the local governments in that case. Also, just as an example on this map, it shows existing special centers and corridors. And I'm going to push the button a little bit harder back here. There we go. And like Oldsmar's town center plan, redevelopment plan, downtown Clearwater has a plan. There are 23 different local government plans that will show up as the blue dots on the map. We'll also see, this is where we expect to see future activity centers, like US 19 plan and Clearwater, I'll talk about in just a quick second, and also various multimodal corridors that are shown on the map. So the version of I want to stop for a second, the version of the vision map that was sent out in the review package did not include a supporting corridor along State Road 580 through Oldsmar. You had your activity center just out there, just kind of hanging, and it shows on the map that you have there. After further review, and I'm not sure who's done a lot of the discussing with the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority staff, I have myself as well, it was determined it looks as though to put Route 67 back on as we call a supporting corridor. So at this point, you will see that the supporting corridor now shows up on the map. Oldsmar's Town Center redevelopment plan will be connected. So that gives you an opportunity to connect through one of those corridors to other parts of the county. We were just from day one trying to get that put back on. So not, again, who's responsible for that on your end, but it will show up, and we will present that to the council in September on a new revised map and ask them to adopt that. Now, just a little bit more detail on the vision map. I want to show just a couple of these centers mean. The transit station centers, first of all, are those centers that are proposed along the Green Lake Pinellas line. The details of those are included in some of their work, like the Pinellas Alternatives Analysis, for example. And one example of one of those, these are not in place today, but if Green Lake Pinellas were to be approved, that this would come into play at a later date. Just showing you an example of St. Pete Clearwater Airport, which is what's called a Type 3 station. And we've developed rules, regulations for 4 different types of stations. Type 3 right there, densities and intensities that are commensurate with the type of transit that you would probably see with a transit station area. The most intensive would be, for example, down in St. Petersburg or maybe Gateway. Downtown Clearwater would be a Type 1. And again, an example, just St. Pete Clearwater Airport, a Type 3. Density, there's a residential density and non-residential intensity commensurate with a Type 3 station. The other big component about this are corridors, and they're shown on your map there. We have, I'm sorry, not jumping to corridors. To finish off with the centers, I apologize, but special centers, again, like Gateway, they already have a lot of development down there in the Gateway Center. Your town center plan is a special center as well. And then we'll have major centers. I talked about US 19 and Clearwater. They've just completed a pretty thorough plan along US 19 along the corridor of US 19, but in the activity center at Clearwater Mall, which is shown in the green dot there, that would be considered a major center, and that's where we expect to see some fairly dense development and redevelopment, about half a mile wide and what have you. And then we also have community centers. I didn't highlight one of those on the map, but those are a little bit smaller in the hierarchy. And just to let you know, these also have associated densities and intensity ranges that go along with those. Again, commensurate with what we see as the transportation that should support it. And now the last item with the vision map going into the corridors, primary and secondary corridors that are shown on your map there. An example is US 19. That's where we expect to see the most robust transit, a lot of multimodal work, sidewalks, bicycles, lots of those kinds of work. And it's the PSTA's core bus network, premium services plan, where we see a red line on the map there. The yellow or orange line is really a subcategory of that. It's a little less intensive when it comes to transit, but it's what's called frequent local routes. These two have densities and intensities that are lower than what you'll find in the centers. So these are, again, the new categories that you haven't seen before. They're vision, they're future-oriented, they're tied in with land use and transportation that we've been charged to do to create this map. And the last thing that we have that's associated with this, I won't get into very much detail, of course, but the special area planning requirements that you've had to go through for your town center and the 23 other ones are going away. Those are not as relevant, we think, today. And so we're putting together these planning and urban design principles and strategies, and there are 6 items that a local government needs to address if they want to go forward with an activity center or a corridor. But again, we've done most of the work, we think, and the local governments would have to just address these in their codes and land development regulations. So the next part of this, the second part of this is the part that most of y'all are familiar with, and that is our current countywide plan map, the more detailed land use plan map. Today it has 36 categories on it. And it's really more focused on the existing uses of land. It didn't have a lot of future orientation in it. We weren't really able to do that. And we really think that it was probably a little bit more reactionary to things that, again, as opposed to being visionary. So what we've built is a new 11 category map, and I'll talk in a minute. It might turn out to be 13 by the time we get all the comments done from the local governments. But this is much more broader and more inclusive in its categories. Again, it ties in transportation and land use better. It also includes the transit-oriented categories I talked about in a moment ago. It will result in fewer land use plan map amendments as well, and I'll explain that in just a second. Here is the Oldsmar version or portion of the countywide plan map as it's outlined on the left and right there. On the current map, you use 21 of those 36 categories. On the new map, we expect that you would use 9 of those categories as it's proposed today. This is just zooming in to the map legends for the countywide plan map for Oldsmar's jurisdiction, again showing 21 on the left, and the 9 categories that we expect that you would use on the right. And what I would do is just illustrate, for example, you use 8 of the residential categories, and we'll expect that all 8 of those will be now included in the neighborhood category in our new map. Now, I talked a second ago about the potential for adding 2 more categories. This category, the neighborhood category, we set at 10 residential units per acre. And within those certain corridors that I talked about, you could get up to 15 units per acre. And that covers the majority of your categories that you use today. There were comments from Pinellas County and some of the larger communities, and even some of the smaller communities. They're looking, instead of that 1 category that has those 2 density ranges in it, they'd like to see 3 categories. An urban level category at about 15 residential dwelling units per acre, a suburban at about 7.5, and a rural to protect some of the northern areas of Pinellas County at about 1. So we'll likely end up recommending that to the council, that we end up with 3 of those. But for now, the neighborhood category is shown there. And this is just an illustration of how it works in Oldsmar. We picked one part of Oldsmar. In this particular section, on the left, you'll see you use 5 categories today. On the right, in the countywide map, you would use 3. And this is a real good place to probably step back and remind you that today's countywide plan process, your local government future land use plan map that you see here every once in a while for changes, is the same as the countywide plan map. Under the old special act, the two maps are supposed to be essentially identical. They're supposed to be consistent with each other. So that means that every time that you amend your local government future land use plan map, you've got to come in and amend the countywide plan map in front of the Pinellas Planning Council and the Countywide Planning Authority. Again, the new special act asks it to be much more broader, fewer categories and what have you, and focus more on countywide issues. So while your local government map, that again looks like the version on the left, will remain the same throughout this process, it will remain the same until you decide to amend it. We'll change the countywide plan map as shown on the right, and in almost more cases, it's more simplified and has fewer categories. And it's set up in such a way that your local government amendments, some of them we won't even see. And I'll show you just those on this next edition of that. I'm highlighting the commercial categories you have. There are 4 of them on the left. Those will all fall under the countywide map as the retail and services. And what that means is we talk about fewer land use changes at the countywide level. If you made a change from residential office retail to commercial general on your local future land use plan map, we wouldn't see that. It's all under retail and services, so you can move about within those categories without it coming to us. We'll look at it from a staff's perspective, make sure it's consistent, but it doesn't require a public hearing. So that's one of the features of this that we think will save a lot of time in the long run. And then lastly, just the current map on the left and how it transitions to the map on the right. A little confusing on this one because, you know, the purple color. We are changing our industrial limited category to call it employment. We're trying to make all the names to be more relevant to what's underneath them. Retail and services, everybody knows what that is. Commercial neighborhood, they might not. Residential low medium becomes neighborhood and so on up here. But again, you just see a little bit of the transition of the new map. And the last one is the activity center. Currently, that's your community redevelopment planning area. And it transitions just seamlessly over to activity center. And again, it was one of those blue dots on the map. And one last item to quickly touch on, there's obviously a lot more detail in our technical memorandum, but as I discussed a moment ago, right now every future land use plan map amendment you make comes through the Planning Council and the Countywide Planning Authority. But this proposal funnels a lot of those smaller amendments onto the level 1 review, and that's staff review. We would look at that again for consistency. Normal countywide plan map amendments, the ones that rise to that level of being of countywide significance, will be reviewed at public hearings before the council, but the Countywide Planning Authority, in other words, the Board of County Commissioners, it's a more abbreviated review. And then lastly, if you want to establish a new corridor or a new activity center, it's called a Type 3, and that requires a bit more review. But we were asked also to kind of streamline the amendment review process, and I think we've done that with these 3 levels of review. So I haven't been timing myself, but I'm almost done. Just to let you know, the work program so far, we've been working on this for about over 33 months. Over 80 meetings altogether with local governments, with other entities, presentations, updates. In fact, Linda Fisher's over in Treasure Island presenting right now, I think. I'd much rather, I think, be with you on this, but also one public outreach brochure that's available on our website that ties in how we do the land use relative to Greenlight Pinellas. It's a real good work that Linda worked on mostly. So I won't go through this. This is our next steps that we're doing. We're planning on bringing all the comments from the local governments to our council in September and probably again in October, and then ask them to weigh in on how we might modify the proposals that we have today already, and then hopefully bring it to public hearings starting in November, and have a new updated countywide plan map adopted for you all to utilize sometime right around the beginning of the year. So I think that was about 15 minutes, but we went through all of these subject areas here, and I went through very quickly, again, because you've got all these lovely people that probably have better things to do than to listen to a planner talk about land use. But with that, I obviously entertain any questions you all might have, or anything that I can elaborate on, I'd be glad to.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. And one thing I did notice is I would like to thank you sincerely for figuring out how to work our PowerPoint machine, because we've tried to aim it at the thing, we've tried aiming at the dais. I saw that it worked well tonight with the over-the-shoulder method, so it worked flawless. Did you see that? Click. Yeah, so thank you for that.
It says right here, it says, for presentations, point clicker to control room behind you.
Yeah, but the over-the-shoulder method worked. So we've tried that, and it doesn't work. Thank you so much. And you asked me a question about getting Oldsmar more on the map, and I'd like to thank Maria Dolphine, our Planning and Redevelopment Director, for working with the PPC, and she has been, an asset to us, and I think the council as a whole, every time we get a chance, I know we talk about it all the time, is, squeaky wheel. Jim has done it for years, and we feel that we're an important part of the overall regional plan, both between Hillsborough and Pinellas County. We're the only land connection between the two counties, and we've always felt that it's important. We're an employment center. We're the connection between the two counties, and Marie's done a great job, and the council continues to squeaky wheel, and so I think it finally got us on the map as we have been trying to do. So,
well, Marie and Michelle are both kind, gentle, and relentless.
And relentless.
Kind, gentle, and relentless. That's great.
To work with.
What was funny is I'm watching Marie. I was expecting her to break out some popcorn watching that thing as she was watching the whole thing develop. But any questions?
A couple, Mike. The Pinellas Planning Council has always worked well with the city of Oldsmar. We have great relationships. After myself and Jim and the mayor finally got on there, no, Mike, thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
We could have listened to you for another 10 minutes. That'd be.
No, we're good.
But this is not going to affect the city of Oldsmar, I don't think, that much, because we're already there, as it's going to affect other areas here. I don't know how you're going to go from high to low on your density from low residential to that. You got a problem there somewhere. You got a major problem there somewhere. I guess you'll work it out. It's not going to affect us any, but
we were swinging for the fence on that, but now we're told just go for a base hit. So we're going to bring it back a little bit. So
you got one there from 11 to 13 categories. That I think that's well for everybody else. We have between 55 and 65,000 cars go through our city every day. We are a corridor.
Right.
We are a corridor, and we want you to make us a bigger corridor. Stars on both sides of it, and say in red, important. Pointing to Oldsmar. I guess with the gateway, I guess the Rays are losing their with the gateway. I guess
traffic issues I heard. So yeah.
I do have to ask you this. It's you've put a lot of work in this, and I don't know how much farther you can go. You can go until we have an election this fall. And I know you and I and I know the mayor and Jim has went through this before about these 15 different stations that we're talking about here. I mean, this is to me, that's getting ahead of the game, but I know you have to prepare to get ahead of the game. But what if the game change, the rules change?
Right, and we did have to set this up in a way that would prove successful if the referendum were successful. When you work with the federal government to get funding for a lot of this and the transit stations, one of the highest scoring items is for land use. And one of the things they ask for is that all the communities that a line like that runs through have consistent regulations, and that's why we did this. We did this even before the updated Countywide Plan. I think when Jim Roniker was on the council, we adopted regulations for that. So we did that to make that work. If it should fail, there's still a very important linking of land use and transportation that needs to be done. It will take longer to work through this corridor plan that we're talking about. There may need to be some adjustments in that. So we do have a plan B, so to speak, but it still would focus on tying land use and transportation and working on corridors to improve the mobility amongst those corridors. Maybe it just won't happen as quick for sure.
Well, most of this was not dictated. I know that the PPC had to plan for it, but it was not really dictated by the Pinellas Planning Council. It came from the other side you're going to have to deal with now when you all get together.
Right.
And I see a bunch of fun there with you two guys. That's okay. But I just have to say this, that because you've been doing this for a long time, and we've talked about this kind of a corridor for a long time, right, about these tracks wherever they're going. And each one of these 15, and I remember you talking about this and you bringing this to the forefront with Dave and all them. Right. That with these 15 stops, density is going to go through the roof. Is that right?
In those particular stops, there's a variety. Some is residential density, and some is intensity as well. And that's been distributed.
That's the word I want, intensity. Thank you.
Right, which is more.
Intensity is worse than density.
Commercial and office, those types of employment type uses that.
Going through the roof, isn't it?
Well, not necessarily. There are some places like in those type 1 categories, like downtown St. Petersburg and Gateway area, that are some pretty high floor area ratios. We've talked about those, which represent office and commercial space. But those are in areas that are already developed pretty intensely. The Gateway area has got a pocket in it that's called Town Center that's not fully developed, that we've just talked to the developers there. They're planning on doing something, and we're hoping that when they do, will be transit-oriented and not completely automobile-oriented. But some of the other areas that you're referring to of the different potential stations aren't there today, and they could potentially build up some intensity and density there. But the idea is to try and concentrate that in one area and serve it by the rail line or the bus lines, and not just have it scattered about.
But you can't really control that, can you? Once you've got these 15 areas, I mean, you want it in the Gateway, and the Gateway's big enough for it, but you've taken it down to Almerton or wherever you're taking it, those areas, the I love that word, the intensity is going to be overwhelming in my mind. Anyway, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. We're welcome, and I appreciate those comments, and again, the comments that Marie will send to us as well, we'll bring to the council in September. But
okay, one more. I'm sorry, man. I know. That's what he expects. Okay.
Questions are more than his presentation.
Right.
When's this going to happen? So we get it back.
When what was that? What's the question?
The changes?
All the changes, and we'll get our map
right.
back.
We'll be involving, of course, the city throughout the next couple of months, and I would say that the map, should be hopefully adopted by January. That would be nice. We've been saying that for the last couple of Januaries, but the legislature kind of dragged
how many years
their feet a little bit. Yeah, and we've been supposedly unified with the MPO now I've been interim for over 3 years. Again, the legislature delayed us 1 year, and then there were some other delays and what have you. And the governor was supposed to have signed the letter. It was supposed to be on his desk, but he must have a pretty big desk because nobody could find the letter. Yeah. And then in February, apparently he did. So now we can move forward.
But when Jim was mayor, that's all we had to hear when he come back was talking about the letter.
We're waiting for the governor. We're waiting for the governor. But no, and again, September will be the new unified board. We've been working with their staff very well. I've been with the county. Next month will be 20 years, and with Pinellas Planning Council. And I just see that we've worked together with the MPO more now than we have in the past, and
better relationships.
Better relationships. And as I told you earlier, I have a wife and 3 daughters, and if I can get along with them, I can pretty much do the unification.
Jim? I don't have any questions. I just want to congratulate you, Mike. It's amazing when we first started the process 33 years ago. When we looked at it, it was like, wow, is this even possible? But to see it come to the initial, introduction is pretty awesome. And I want to thank you for your efforts because I know you worked very hard on this, and all the PP staff, they did a great job, as well as the Planners Advisory Committee. Is that what we call them?
Right. Yes.
Been out of the game for a year, so I forgot what we call them. But the planners too. I mean, just an incredible job to get down to the categories we got now. It's actually going to save the taxpayers money because it's just going to streamline things. So well done.
It certainly will, and thank you. And that you reminded me that you were instrumental in this whole linking of land use and transportation and the group with the Board of County Commissioners, the MPO, and the PPC. So for years you hammered that out. So
Well, I was like the only one to serve on both of them. I was like, this doesn't make sense.
listen to me.
Yeah. But
Well,
thank
and
you.
we did. So thank you.
Gabby.
No question. Thank you, Mike.
Linda?
I just think it's amazing that this map on the front of your presentation shows little old Oldsmar up there all by itself with no corridors. And I'm glad that it's on the front page so everybody can see that and take our former mayor's suggestions and get us on the map and get us some better services. So, and I appreciate your presentation as well.
Oh, you're welcome. And I was uncomfortable coming here. Let's see, what's today? It's Tuesday. I think as of last Thursday.
Because of this little dot up here?
This came in Thursday, I think it was, yeah. But finally, I have something tomorrow. I can make the presentation. So, but yes, but you're welcome.
I don't really have any questions. I've been involved in transit in one way, shape, or form for 20 some odd years, and we've had discussions about that. And it's nice on a lot of levels to finally see everybody starting to read from the same sheet music, and both regionally and locally and throughout the municipalities and the counties, and it's just really nice. And as former Mayor Roniker said, you know, it definitely will save the taxpayers money to streamline it. And there are things that you'll be able to do, as you said, without being able to go to the board and just, you know, really meet your approval checks and balances, which is what you have to have. But thanks for your effort, Marie, and your staff for your guys' effort, and you know, the squeaky wheel of all of us up here for continuing to hammer the Oldsmar name. And by the way, I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, but we have room for a stadium in Oldsmar if something doesn't work out.
I think I've got some more.
That dot could get a little bit bigger. We have room for a bigger dot.
All I got to do is just ask Linda to make it bigger. And
we could go for 2 dots, actually.
We got room for 2 dots if you want, you know.
The key is Linda. And really, I forgot to mention this. What we're doing now is a partnership with local governments. We're backing off, and local governments are taking the reins on a lot of the details that we used to get involved in. And it's been difficult for some people to kind of let go of that. And I've been pushing for that. A little too far in that one category, as Jerry Beaverland pointed out. But it's a partnership, so we're working closer together with you. We're not looking over your shoulder like I think we're used to. And we're looking forward to making things work with you. You got a multimodal district that Marie's worked hard on. Hopefully we can make that work with the corridor plan as well. And we're available, once we get this adopted, we'll have a little more time available to help assist local governments that might need some assistance. So I hope that we can offer ourselves to come out and help you with that.
Be more productive with your time instead of policing and, you know, all of that. I think, you know, let us do ours and you guys do yours. And yeah, I think it's great. So thank you. Any other questions? If not, thank you, Mike, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me have so much time.
Tell everybody back there we miss them.
I will. I see him.
Ask them this: do they miss us?
No, do they miss him?
Oh, of course, because I know I was looking forward so much to come here and visit with you all and make this presentation. I'm sure he'd love to come talk to you as well. So thank you all.
Thanks. Next item is presentation by No Tax for Tracks, Barbara Hazelden. Did I say that right? Hazelden. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to come this evening and to talk about the opposition to green light. And for the folks who might be here and think maybe they missed something, the election actually hasn't happened yet. So even though we have 33 meetings wrapped up with charts and graphs showing the green light plan, it has not passed and it has not come before the people. And so I wanted to point that out because there may be some people who are a little confused. Also, I just wanted to tell you that I'm accustomed to different technology. Your technology is so high tech, and I did notice this action.
Works.
But I may have Ann? Yes, Ann pointed out something that may be true. I couldn't try it until I get up here, which is to see.
Push a button?
Yeah, it doesn't work, Ann. Oh, look, it works here, but it apparently doesn't work on the annotated, where you can draw circles, or, you know, you can interact with it, but it's not.
Well, like Monday Night Football, right?
Well, I'm accustomed, yeah, exactly. So I have charts and graphs, and let me see if I have myself all going here. Okay. Actually, this is interesting. I represent No Tax for Tracks, and I'm the spokesperson for No Tax for Tracks, but more importantly, for the last 4 years, I have been going to PSTA meetings along with several other people, and I have followed not only the PSTA meetings, but all the related committee meetings, and I own a business down in St. Pete. I own an insurance agency. In fact, I'm celebrating my 25th year, and I'm hoping I get a plaque tomorrow when I go to work. Somebody's missing the boat there by not getting me a plaque. And I salute everyone who's given their service to your city tonight. And also, anyone who knows Dusty Showers is not surprised that he would go beyond himself to help someone who needs help. So thank you to Dusty. He's a great guy. So all that being said, I started going to the meetings when the alternative analysis was started as a concerned citizen, and I was concerned at what I saw. And so we are bringing forth information that we've learned over these 4 years. You're going to see a lot of their information that is not being brought forth to the public. So you can see here that this is just a sprinkling of the people from around the county, and this is actually at Oldsmar, where we came up for the parade earlier this spring, and we are all unpaid local citizens. Now, you know, America chose the automobile in 1956. Public transportation, the usage has so declined over the last 60, 70 years because of the Eisenhower Interstate Highway Act in 1956, after World War II, when our country purposely and very decidedly chose to take the path of building a 48,000-mile interstate and highway system, which is the success of the entire world. It's probably the main reason that we have had so much prosperity personally and as a nation in leading the world has been our own our own private transportation. And when you combine that with the affordability of the automobile, it has brought personal freedom to almost every individual. In fact, the statistics tell us that currently nationwide, we have dropped from post-World War II, where 50% of Americans depended on public transportation, to today, where currently nationwide, just 2% of Americans depend on public transportation. As a matter of fact, in 2010, in the U.S. Census responses for Pinellas County, 1.6% of Pinellas County residents responded that they depended on PSTA to get to work. And the average car commute time response in 2010 during the census was just 23 minutes in Pinellas County. So where's the problem? This, of course, is our public bus system, PSTA, and these are the buses that we've seen run around, of course, for many years. But I was most interested when I started going because I had no clue how PSTA was funded, or any public transportation for that matter. And what I found was that the operation budget is 75% subsidized by taxpayers. Federal and state grants represent 22% of the operation budget. Passenger fares represent just 22% of the cost to operate the system. And then advertising in and on the buses represent another 3%. So when you combine passenger fares and advertising, that's 25% that actually comes from sales, if you will. And then the real estate property tax, which is our ad valorem on our homes and businesses, is 53%, or the majority of the operation budget of PSTA. In 2014, this year, the operation budget is $63 million, and that is up from 5% over 2013. Then you add the capital budget of another $23 million. So PSTA currently has $87 million a year right now to run PSTA. If you divide that by the number of annual rides, and that's not riders or people, that's rides, the cost per ride, when you divide that into that $87 million, is to us as taxpayers $7 per ride. Now, each ride is with transfers. So let's say that I wanted to ride PSTA to Tyrone Mall. I'll just use that as an example. Then if I got on the bus here and took maybe down to McMullen Booth and caught a transfer, and then took another transfer, it may be 3 rides that it would take me to get to the mall and 3 rides back. So that one person equals 6 rides. It took me months, maybe over a year, before I figured that out and going to the meetings. I'm sure you all know that, but I didn't know that, and I doubt that the people in the audience here know that. So when you have 6 rides to get to the mall and back at $7 a piece, it's $42 that we as taxpayers are paying. The folks are paying $2 to ride it, and by the time they get discounts, it's 91 cents. So the taxpayer subsidy per ride is currently 87% subsidized and equals $6. Now, this, I usually use a laser, but you'll have to just follow me. I'm so sorry. But if you look down to the far left, that is 2002. And all we're going to talk about here are the red bars. This is PSTA slides that I'm going to be showing you that I've collected over these 4 years. And what the far left is 2002. And the red bars represent the value of our homes and real estate businesses and how they increased over that decade between 2002 and 2012, where the black line is. So what we see is that as those bars go up, the property value of our homes went up, and to the point of the high water mark there in 2007 at the very height of it, when we all thought we were rich. I know I thought I was rich, that my home was, something that I could probably live on the rest of my life, just get a reverse mortgage. And during that time, PSTA's income, of course, as municipalities also, their income skyrocketed through those period of years between 2002 and 2007 until they hit the high water mark. And at that point, then the property values started to tumble down, and so did the revenue to PSTA from the ad valorem portion of the budget that I already pointed out. Now, if you look to the right of the tallest line, and you probably can't read it, but what it says is 0.56, and that's the mills that PSTA was charging on our homes per thousand at the high water mark there in 2007. And then as the property values tumbled down, the black line represents when PSTA, without any voter approval needed, raised the property taxes on our homes by 30% on the ad valorem to 0.7305, which is right there at that black line. You see the 0.7305. So in 2012, PSTA raised the property taxes on our homes. But during that period of time, they elected to build a $40 million facility, doubling their space and expenses and expanding the bus lines. This is another PSTA slide that shows us another way to look at that very same picture of the ad valorem. What we see is starting in 2007 at the far end is $38 million in ad valorem property, the tax that they were getting from our properties. And then you can see 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, that it dropped down as our properties rolled down. And then in 2012, right there is where they raised the property taxes and boosted it back up again. So they raised the taxes on our homes in 2012 by 30%, so that the spending could continue without restraint. This is a PSTA slide that shows the very same period of time, 2002 through 2014. You can see all the way to the green line, and you can see that between 2002 and 2007, that as the income to PSTA went up, so did the spending, which in many cases was adding more buses, adding more service without need. And at 2007, when the property values dropped, you can see that all stalled out. From 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you can see that they laid people off and they cut back in order to try to maintain. And then in 2012, they raised the taxes, and you see what happened in 2012. Immediately, the spending started going back up again. And in 2014, you see the green line. And again, I want you to see that that's a PSTA slide. I haven't altered this slide. And that green line shows us November of 2014, where they think we're going to pass the 1% sales tax and bail them out. Now, the PSTA salary and fringe benefits currently represent 60% of the operation budget, which is quite huge. If you own a business, you'll understand that. This is the staffing history over the same period of time of PSTA. In 2004, you can see they had 535 employees, and then as the income revenue from our homes, they continued to add 537, 584, 617 in the year 2007, and then our property values rolled down and they started letting people go. And then you can see in 2012, when they passed the property tax 30% increase, immediately they started hiring more people again. In fact, they're currently hiring people, and anybody that might need a job, you might want to go to PSTA. This is another item that I think needs the sunlight, and this is presented in 2011 as proof of the need for the 30% tax increase. I was going to these meetings. This document right here was being touted even on the radio. That this was the reason that we needed to pay more, 30% more in ad valorem. And I realize you probably can't see this, but what this is telling us is that PSTA 3-year budget projection. 2011, they're telling the public that they're going to be $2 million in the red. 2012, $5.7 million in the red. 2013, $8 million in the red. This is the evidence that they presented from their planners as to why we needed to do this. And yet, I'm so sorry you can't see this, but to the left there, Pete, maybe you could stand up and point right there, the left, the 2012 column, the very first column to the left, okay? After 10 months after the budget, after the tax increase, after 2 revisions of their budget, and I have those revisions, one was in April of 2013, the next one was in June, $7.7 million in surplus was generated by the tax increase on our homes. So the $5.7 million went away, and it turned into $7.7 million surplus. At the last board meeting, CEO Miller declared that PSTA is hiring more drivers, more mechanics, more raises, more interns, and actually hiring a full-time recruiter to capture all of these new hires. More extravagant spending. These, as I said earlier, these are the buses that we're accustomed to seeing, $450,000 diesel buses, are now being replaced one by one by $650,000 unproven hybrid buses. And I say unproven because I've done a public records request asking for side-by-side fuel consumption, and I've been denied that request. Yet PSTA CEO Brad Miller warns again that if a new sustainable funding source is not found, PSTA services will have to be cut 30% by 2016. And the reason is, in part, is because they are at their cap. By state law, they cannot charge us more than 0.75 on our ad valorem. So they are now at 0.73. Basically, they're at the cap. So that's where they are. They're in a corner. So PSTA has a crossroad. They have to convince us to pay more or fix the bus system. Which brings about the highly controversial Greenlight Pinellas Plan. And I know that you folks have seen a lot of controversy about the Greenlight Plan. As a matter of fact, it's only been 10 days ago that PSTA returned $354,000 in Homeland Security grant money because it did not meet the criteria, and it had been used to produce commercials that at the end said, go to Greenlight Pinellas for more information, instead of telling you how to look for packages on a bus that may be a bomb. Is it a train? Is it a bus? Well, PSTA's message to the public is Greenlight means more bus service. However, this is out of the Ernst & Young Financial Feasibility Report, which I have with me right here, and you can go on PSTA's website and you can get a copy of the report that we paid for. And this tells us here, the black bars, this is just one page of the Financial Feasibility Report, and the black bars represent the capitalization of the rail. Now, what we're looking at here, and again, I'm so used to a touchscreen, I just keep wanting to go like this and make that thing bigger, but I can't. But what you're looking at there is 2014, the top. We're looking at the top graph, 2014 to the far left. The light-colored bars are the bus improvements, and then you're going down through 2025. The black bars are the cost of building the train. So we have over to the right, the red lettering says $2.49 billion. So the capitalization of this project is 90% rail. Another thing that I'm going to mention and that I have on that is that also there is a second document that was ordered by the county. It has never come to light. It's called the Prague Report, and the Prague Report tells us that there is no provision in the Ernst & Young report to replace the rail cars. The life of the rail cars is 25 years. Through this projection here, the train is supposed to start in 2025, which is the end of that black bar. But there is no provision for the replacement of the rail cars. Just like cars, they wear out. And so this is a major flaw in the program that our children will not appreciate. Greenlight Pinellas calls it a tax swap, a promise to eliminate the transit property tax for increased sales tax for now. But the fact is that it is a $100 million annual tax increase with no sunset, no end, all going to PSTA, raising our Pinellas County sales tax from 7 to 8%. As I explained to you, the ad valorem property tax now is $32 million a year. The 1% sales tax increase the first year in 2017 that Ernst & Young has it projected would be $148 million a year. So PSTA would have a tax revenue of over $100 million a year increase coming out of our economy out of our pockets. Now here, the increase, this is the enormity, and this is not a PSTA slide. This is a slide that we developed simply by using the Ernst & Young projections and the fact that here we have the old tax, the little short bar there is $30 million, what they get off of our homes now. And they're saying they're going to swap that with us if we will only start paying the sales tax. Well, you can see what kind of a swap this is. I'll take this swap. This is a $30 million, and you can see the first full year of collection is 2017, $148 million. So you can see the enormity of this tax increase and how it really will affect our local economy. The reason the bars go up slightly is because it's projected that through the cost of inflation, that each year the county, the 1% sales tax would generate an additional 3%. But this would give us the highest sales tax in the state of Florida. Then PSTA will apply to issue bonds and obtain federal grants by using that income stream, and that's what they're doing, is they're going to use the $140, $150, $160 million, just like a paycheck that we would use to go get a mortgage. They're going to use that income stream from the sales tax as proof of repayment ability on billions in debt that we will be co-signing for, and there's no getting out of it once it starts. But maybe there's compelling reasons. You know, maybe there are reasons that there's demand for more public transit. I mean, we have to be so careful to not be thinking, gee, build it and they will come. First of all, people need to understand what it is and what it is not. High-speed rail versus light rail, because a lot of people think it's the vehicle on the left. As a matter of fact, there's a mailer that just came to my house showing a speeding train. It's blurry. It's speeding so quickly. And yet, that's not what this is. On the right-hand side is what it is. It's a vehicle more like a streetcar, or it's going to have electricity and connectors. And the average speed nationwide on these types of vehicles is 25 miles per hour. It's called light rail because it's light occupancy. This density that Jerry was talking about a little bit earlier, you know, this is a in-scale, side-by-side comparison on the left of Pinellas County, which is 30 miles long, to the left, which is Manhattan, which is 13 miles long. On the left, we have 921,000 people living in that 30-mile-long swath of ground. And on the right, we have 1.5 million people living in that 25 square miles. That's density. And what Mr. Crawford was talking about earlier, and Mr. Beaverland was talking about earlier, was their plan, and all of this planning that he was talking about, is to have high rises so that the density will increase per acre. How does that reduce congestion when people will still be driving their cars? Only there'll be more people being attracted to come to our county to move up into high density on all of these 16 spots, which will be crowding our streets. The whole plan is based on several false premises. Number one premise, and I'm so sorry you cannot see this, but you can go on greenlightpinellas.com and you can download this very flyer. This is their brochure, and in the middle, it says creating more walkable communities. That first sentence there tells us that there are 200,000 more people that are expected to move to Pinellas County in the next 20 years, and that there's 148,000 more jobs. And it's mentioned in this 20-page brochure about 3 times that we simply have to get ready, that we have all of these people that are going to be coming, and we must, doing nothing is not an option, you understand. We have to do something. But it's not the truth. This was published in the St. Pete Times in February because the debate got so heated about this whether or not Pinellas County has got a big population explosion down the road. The fact of the matter is, between 2000 and 2010, we lost about 45,000 people in Pinellas County, and we lost a Florida House seat. Now, you don't lose a Florida House seat unless you lose population. This is a projection from the University of Florida on population, and that is a 1 million mark right above the word Pinellas is 1 million, and those are the years through 2040. And this is showing us that Pinellas County is going to remain pretty much status quo, right at 1 million people. Hillsborough, you see, because of the fact they have land, the empty land yet to be developed, they are expecting a big growth in Hillsborough. Also, they are telling us they have record ridership on the buses every month. But, you know, I already explained to you what I found out is that 1 rider can equal 6 rides. Now, during the bad part of the economy, they did have ridership that went up. But have you noticed empty buses, anybody? I mean, I saw empty buses on the way here tonight. I see empty buses everywhere, but of course I see, you know, it's like if you buy a Buick, then all you see is Buicks. You know what I'm saying? You go out, you buy a new car, and all of a sudden you see those cars everywhere, and you thought, well, gee, I thought I was the only one that bought one of those. Well, now that I'm so involved in this, I always look at the buses. And generally speaking, there are some routes that are extremely busy, and I'm going to show you what they are. But there are many of these $650,000 buses that are running around with 2 and 3 people on them. This was a bus ridership study that was completed last summer, $700,000 of our money paid to have this bus study done. And just like Mr. Crawford was talking about, they did this because they're trying to prepare to get ready to go try to get these grants. So this is the first time PSTA has done a bus study, and this shows us, as of last summer, the 40 routes. So what we're talking about is going from left to right are 40 routes. The gray are buses, the blue are trolleys, and the 2 green ones are the bus routes that go over to Tampa. And for that, we're talking about a $1 billion bridge. This, again, is a PSTA slide, untouched. This was presented by the Independent Bus Study as their findings. I was there the day that this slide was presented. And this tells us the top 5 local routes on the left account for nearly half of the system ridership. And the blue PSTA trolley services account for another 13%. So combined, those 7 routes account for 60% of the system ridership. And all of those flat lines down there, the flat bars, are so many of the routes that are underperforming routes. We don't need a second public transportation system in Pinellas County. 30% of those routes carry less than 15 passengers per hour. It's a poor use of resources by PSTA, depriving riders of better service. Subsidies, this is what happens after you capitalize these types of programs, because the PSTA bus system right now, as I showed you, was $6 per ride. Charlotte, they installed, they passed their referendum, I think it was in '98. Their light rail, they have a single light rail line currently operating that is 9 miles, and it is constant. Currently, the subsidy is $15.45 to the taxpayer. What that really means is that if a family of 4 goes downtown to the convention center on the 9-mile ride, it costs the taxpayers $120. Because it's $60 down and $60 back to go to the convention center, and they are paying $2 a ride, times 4, down and back. So they're paying $16. Houston is a 7-mile for $16.28 subsidy. Minneapolis-St. Paul, 12 miles, $21.34 subsidy per ride. Phoenix, 20 miles, $32.73 subsidy. And I think I heard tonight that the Green Light Pinellas is the longest expanse of rail that has been proposed, but I'm sure it'll be different here. There's a myth that there's a rail link to Tampa. I'm sure you folks don't believe that, or maybe you haven't heard it, but the furthest north that it will come is East Bay, and then we'll cut over and go downtown to Clearwater. This looks exactly, of course, similar to the map that Mr. Crawford showed, and this is from downtown St. Pete up through Gateway and to Clearwater. And by the way, I'll take this opportunity to just read a little one line here out of the bus study. This is the PSTA Community Bus Study. This sentence here. Carillon Business Park in the Gateway area, where all but one route operates with fewer than 20 boardings per revenue hour. There's no link to Tampa or TIA. There's no future spurs in the 10-year plan. Don't be thinking phase 2. There is no phase 2. Phase 2 will call for another referendum and more of our tax dollars. This is a 10-year plan, and you're looking at it right there, which would include bus rapid transits, there was originally 6 bus rapid transits. I heard the other day, now they're talking about 8, and this light rail. 41 intersections that you will be waiting on trains in Greenlight Pinellas Plan. And the list is in your packet today. If you don't have a packet, we have one. On the back, we did a public records request to find out what intersections would be impacted, and there are 41 intersections. Is it a risk to Penny for Pinellas? There is a lot of concern about this. The Penny for Pinellas is coming back up for renewal in 2017, and I know that you depend on that for your budget, and people are concerned they're going to get confused over it or just get irritated, and that the Penny for Pinellas might be at risk. The county will be promoting customers to go to the 16 Greenlight hubs on the rail. That cannot be overlooked. If this thing were to go forward and it gets built out, I don't think that any of us question the fact that the county will do everything they can to make it successful by driving through advertising, Tourist Development Council. It's all going to be driving people to go do business on the hubs. And your business community, if it's not on the line, you're going to be competing with it and paying more to do so. This is the future, by the way. We've been hearing so much about the driverless cars, the smart roads, where they're going to have the markings on the roads will talk to the car. 10 years from now, it's going to take 10 years to build this train. And we can only imagine, this is 100-year-old technology. This is really back to the future. This is not the future. The future, we can't even imagine. It is innovating so quickly. Somebody said yesterday that iPad is only 4 years old. Isn't that amazing? I mean, and think about the fact that if your phone rings and you're sitting on a train on your way to Clearwater and your daughter calls and says, Mom, I don't feel good, can you come and get me at school? I mean, we have to be realistic. This is not our lifestyle anymore. The future looks like this, and your car is not going to probably be sitting in a parking lot all day. Your daughter is going to order the car to come and get her at school, take her, and then the car is going to come back to your job. Here's some ideas to try to fix PSTA. Number one is use smaller vehicles on much of the system where we have the low ridership, and try to build up the ridership, because the service would be better and we would not have so much money invested in every vehicle. And to apply the bus study solution. The bus study that was done last year, you're looking at the cover sheet of the bus study that we paid for, and they came up with 2 solutions. One is the new revenue solution, and the other is the no new revenue. What does that mean? New revenue means we pass the 1% sales tax and they have all this money. The no new revenue means here's what we have to do to fix the bus system if the sales tax fails. So in Pinellas, we just have no need for this. We say from no tax for tracks to fix the bus system for those that depend on public transportation, the less than 2% of our citizens, and the 98% of the rest of us should not be having to fund this and not start taxing these folks. It's a highly regressive tax. This is going to be a big break for wealthy homeowners, and it's going to be on the back of the poor, the elderly, the disabled vet, and those that are on fixed incomes. So we hope that you'll vote no to the $100 million tax increase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Just a statement. A lot of the, you hear this quite a bit, that this is the start of something. This is the start of something. Okay? If it's the start of something, that means that there's something that's going to follow it. Does that mean another penny for Pinellas? Another 2 cents per Pinellas?
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, we heard that not too long ago. Okay, this is from St. Pete to Clearwater. The next will be from Clearwater to Tarpon or here. How are we going to pay for that? Another penny, or maybe 2 pennies, or whatever. See, none of this makes a bit of sense. None of it. I know the first time they were here, they said, well, what's happening now? The young want to ride buses. And my answer to that was, every kid that's born, when he gets 16 years old, he doesn't say, Mom and Daddy, can I ride the bus? You want to help me buy a car? There ain't no 16 years old going to ride a bus. They want a car. That's all I'm going to say.
I got one of those that just started school yesterday, and he drove his car to school.
What color is it?
That they couldn't one thing that they didn't answer, and I asked you for a hard copy, did I not?
Yes, you did.
How you going to buy the land? You going to have eminent domain? And I'm sorry, his name?
Brad Miller. Brad Miller.
He sat there and stammered. I said, if you can't get the land, are you going to have eminent domain? Well, just say yes or no. I didn't get a yes or no, did I?
I haven't done any.
So, but anyway, I put him on record. Whatever you say is going to be on a hard copy. But anyway.
I heard about your hard copies. I watched the video. So I'm glad to answer any questions that I'm capable of answering. I mean, I have more here, but in the interest of time, you know, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not trust this plan. It's a very high-risk plan. It's a long-term plan. The average cost overrun in America on these types of projects is 36%. And so, you know, over 10 years, 36%, any of us who's built a home know what cost overruns is. And a 10-year plan, with these kind of numbers, this kind of so many moving parts, you know, I already illustrated the PSTA revised that budget inside of 10 months, millions of dollars on a $60 million budget. They can't manage this. And I'll leave with that.
Well,
I may have more questions. Hold on.
Sure.
Jim?
I don't have any questions, and, you know, with the green light people here, I didn't beat them up too bad, and I'm not going to praise. I'm just going to say I'm running for Pinellas County Commissioner, and I strongly oppose this green light plan. That's all I'll say.
Debbie?
No questions. Thank you, Barb.
Thank you.
Linda?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you because it seems like you're up against a big advertising budget on the other side. And you're just almost like just a bunch of concerned citizens that are doing your own research. You're getting it out to let us know, I'm on this city council and I did not know all of this. And, you know, I mean, I hate to admit that, but so to be able to hear some of this, I mean, a lot of this concerns me. Highest sales tax in the state of Florida. I mean, really, do we want to have that in Pinellas County? Do we want to have the highest sales tax in the state of Florida for something that's going to benefit South County? You know, we're that little dot, that little blue dot up there that, you know.
You're going to be a donor.
We're the wilderness up here. And so a lot of this definitely concerns me. I've been hounded by people to support this, but my constituents don't want it. I mean, there's very few people. I don't know a lot of North County residents that want this tax. So
did you notice her when you put up that one picture? I mean, you should have seen.
I was looking that way.
No, the glow.
Which one?
When you put up the future car.
Oh.
That concerned me. Okay, going from $450,000 to
that's what I'm saying.
$650,000,
I'm
that
with you
made
on that
me
one.
upset.
I'm with you on that
In
one.
fact, I have to admit something to you. You can laugh at me. My electric car, I had a little thing happen to it. It doesn't have a spare tire. I had to call a tow truck because I had a spare tire. And I said, I've got to admit this to Jerry Beaverland because he can make fun of me forever. But anyway, yes, I like green technology. I'm not gonna ever say that I don't, but only smart green technology. Only green technology that's not gonna cost the taxpayers $200,000 for each bus if the buses are underutilized. So.
Well, look at Blockbuster. I mean, how many years did we spend Friday nights going through Blockbuster trying to pick out our movies? And now they're in a box at Publix. It's obsolete, it's just things move on. Yeah. So I just think that this is the wrong investment for our county, and there's just no need.
So I really appreciate the presentation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much.
I want to thank you. I think it's great that we live in a country where people can oppose something and come before their elected officials or the public and speak. And I mean, that's what our society is founded on, and I think it's great. We all can't agree on everything, but it's great to hear both sides. Gabby and myself went to the Florida League of Cities conference, and I will tell you that one of the interesting things that I walked away with, and that I think the Florida League of Cities conference was based on, was technology, and that at our government levels and how we can better ourselves as a government, is that they are building for the next generation. And that while I would agree that in 1956, 50% of the people were riding public transportation because that was what was available to you, and cars weren't, you didn't have, a Dale Mabry with 17 car dealerships on them. You had a couple of cars and your color options were black, or I think black were the options. And so, I mean, that has come a long way. And it has, you said, gone to 2%. But what I'm hearing and seeing is that, maybe not right here in Tampa, but that in other parts of the country, that the younger people, and to Jerry's point, and to Jim's, I know the opposite. I know people that turned 15 and didn't even want to get their learner's permit, turned 16 and weren't ready. There is a society out there that definitely wants transit. They want to be able to maybe have a car. Right. And I'd love to be one of those, but I'd like to be able to, walk in a community similar to a West Chase or something and have all your amenities right there. But have a transportation that you can get to. So I don't know how we get there. And I mean, I guess my question to No Tax would be, how do we improve our transit system? And we can argue the train or not the train, but I think our transit system, I mean, we're paying for, I don't know, we all drive US 19. I mean, us, the taxpayers, whether it's local, state, or federal, we're paying for those improvements. And if we don't improve the transit system, the public transit system, how do we do that? Because one way or another, either we're going to pay for a train or a rail or more buses, or we're going to pay for overpasses. And, that US 19 flyover is not cheap by any means. Right. And so, I mean, either you pay for it, choose your weapon or choose your, whatever. Or either you're going to pay for it one way or you're going to pay for it another. And I'm not sure which is the most efficient.
Well, I would just, several things go through my mind as far as, first of all, it's not our job to come up with the solution. We think this is a bad plan. But to address specifically what you're saying, some of the things that haven't been talked about here tonight is the gateway connector that has already been funded by the state. And so we're going to have a connector that's going to be coming off of 275 that was just approved this spring. And I think a lot of folks don't know about that. That is huge. This is going to be elevated over Bryan Dairy. It's going to be similar to what you see on Leroy Selman with the elevation, and it'll be a toll. 75 cents was in the paper the other day would be the toll. So you'll have the choice of whether you want to go on the surface or pay the 75 cents for the higher, for the faster route. And that connector is going to come right off of 275, go right over Bryan Dairy. And it's going to spur. One is going to go to the Bayside Bridge right to your house, and the other is going to go to 19. Now, what this means is, and it's supposed to start in 2017, it's supposed to be completed in 3 years. It wasn't even mentioned tonight in the plan from Pinellas County. This means that people will be able to go from the Sunshine Skyway Bridge without a stoplight all the way to Countryside. That's a new day in Pinellas County. Also, 19 is getting ready to wrap up. We have lived in all this construction for all these, I mean, we basically have a new interstate getting ready to.
Fine, ready to wrap up? I'd like to know.
Well, it's at least a lot of it. You know, when I go home tonight, I mean, I've been going home from North County, and it's really a joy to be able to ride on most of that. Also, let me say this. There is this report. It's called the ACOM. You probably are familiar with ACOM, okay? Hillsborough County ordered this report May, 3-4 months ago. And the name of the report is Hillsborough County Transit Options Assessment. This report did not say what some people in Hillsborough wanted to say, and it has been buried. And it has been found. And this tells us, this is the executive summary about transit options in Hillsborough, who has more ridership than Pinellas County. It says transit ridership in Hillsborough County has shown impressive growth, but remains modest for a community considering rail transit investments. The vast majority of new rail projects implemented over the past few decades have occurred in communities where existing transit ridership levels are significantly higher than those observed in Hillsborough. At this time, it appears that light rail transit in either corridor would not qualify for an FTA medium or higher rating. That's Hillsborough. Okay, now let me just finish by saying, and listen, I don't mind telling you, I can't wait to go back to selling insurance. It's a piece of cake next to all of this. But this tells us here.
I think Jim would agree with you.
Right? This right here tells us in the recommendations, Hillsborough County should approach making transit investments cautiously and prudently. HART currently carries approximately 50,000 riders on an average weekday. In comparison, PSTA carries only about 40,000 riders, while the Central Florida Regional Transit in Orlando carries 96,000 daily rides, and the Charlotte carries 92,000. These are the numbers. And the last thing it says on this, there is significant room for ridership growth in the HART service area before a major investment in light rail would be viable.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
I have an observation. Last week I attended the Manufacturers Council meeting that we have, and there were members from other chambers, larger chambers than our chamber here, that were there that heard this presentation. And at their chambers, they weren't allowed to do the presentation. So they were only hearing one side of the story. So they were making endorsements without even hearing a second side, which I thought was wrong.
Not right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is our city attorney.
Mayor, council members, item number 9 on your agenda is the second and final reading and public hearing of ordinance 2014-08. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2014-08, an ordinance of the city of Oldsmar, setting the election date of March 10th, 2015, and the candidate qualifying period for the March 10, 2015 election, and providing for an effective date. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2014-08 by title only.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item either for or against? Seeing there wasn't, I'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Councilmember Veronica?
Aye.
Councilmember McKee? Yes. Vice Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Ordinance 2014-08, establishing qualifying period for March 2015 election is passed and adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Mr. Mayor, council members, item number 10 on your agenda is the first reading and public hearing of ordinance 2014-09. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2014-09, an ordinance of the city of Oldsmar, amending the retirement plan and trust for the firefighters of the city of Oldsmar, closing the retirement plan and trust for new employees, providing for participation in the Florida retirement system, providing for severability of provisions, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. That was the first reading of ordinance 2014-09 by title only.
Again, this is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak against or for this ordinance? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Beavis?
Yes.
Councilmember Veronica?
Aye.
Councilmember McKee?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis.
Aye.
First reading of ordinance 2014-09, closing the firefighters' pension plan is passed with 5 votes for and 0 against.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Mayor and council, the next item, consider approval of an agreement with Pinellas County for emergency medical services. The proposed agreement has a 3-year term and an option for a 2-year extension beyond that. As you'll recall, we have only had a 1-year agreement each year for the past 4 years. The amount of money that the city is to receive in the first year is approximately the same as this year, $430,000. It does provide a slight increase in the second and third year. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. I recommend approval of the ALS First Responder Agreement with Pinellas County starting October 1, 2014.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and council, item 12, update on local mitigation strategy, flood protection, and approve annual report. Now, this is a once-a-year event. I'd like to ask our Planning and Redevelopment Director, Marie Dauphiné, to continue the presentation. At the conclusion of the item, we would ask that the council approve the annual report by motion.
Okay, Oldsmar has participated in the Community Rating System program since 1992, and it's a point system program that rewards communities that undertake floodplain management activities that exceed the minimum NFIP standards. Currently, we're Class 6, and that translates into a 20% reduction in flood insurance premiums for properties located in the special flood hazard area, which is generally anything south of Tampa Road, or a 10% reduction for properties that are outside of the special flood hazard area. So one of the activities that Oldsmar receives CRS credit for is the floodplain management plan. And the Local Mitigation Strategy document qualifies as credit for a floodplain management plan under the NFIP Community Rating System program. So what the LMS document is, it's developed with Pinellas County and the 24 municipalities, and initiatives such as major drainage improvements, hardening of public structures, emergency operations center purchases, et cetera, are included in this. And in the document or the staff report, you'll see the initiatives that are just specific to Oldsmar and the status, whether they've been completed or where they are as far as how close they are to completion. So every 5 years we need to update the LMS. So this year they're doing an overhaul of the LMS document, and that will go to the state in November of this year. So last year when I presented the status of the Local Mitigation Strategy document, we talked about bigger waters and the Flood Insurance Reform Act of 2012. And so that created a lot of press and a lot of issues for homeowners. Some homeowners were concerned that they wouldn't be able to stay in their homes, or they wouldn't be able to sell their homes. So this year, March 2014, the Homeowners Flood Insurance Affordability Act of 2014 was passed by Congress, and that repeals and modifies BW 12, bigger waters. And it repeals certain rate increases, and it restores the grandfather rates. So I haven't passed out some information. We're going to put it on the website. And the first document is like an overview of the Homeowners Flood Insurance Affordability Act. I gave you a fact sheet as far as how it affects flood insurance, another more detailed overview. We're talking about freeboard. And the Homeowners Flood Insurance Affordability Act really seems to focus on homeowners, but it also impacts businesses, communities, churches, and that's this fact sheet. And lastly, I think this fact sheet is flood insurance premium refunds. So some property owners will be receiving refunds because they paid the increase in their flood insurance premium as a result of BW12. So I think that FEMA's still working on this. There's a lot of things to be worked through, but it's a lot of good information. We're going to have that on the website. And I just wanted to show a 3-minute video
Oh
on flood
my
insurance.
gosh. We'll give you 2.
And then if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Oh, go ahead.
Italiano Insurance wants you to know that just because your lender doesn't require you to carry flood insurance, it doesn't mean you're protected. Experts agree if a storm like Katrina hit Tampa Bay, the entire peninsula could be underwater, and you would not be covered.
Far too many people feel that homeowners and flood insurance are on one policy, and they're not. You have your homeowner's policy, and then you have your flood policy. But those are 2 separate insurance policies.
The National Flood Insurance Program was created in 1968 to partner with private insurance companies who were not available to cover flooding at the time. Flooding, which is considered a catastrophic peril, must be dealt with as our weather becomes more and more erratic.
We have had catastrophic weather primarily since 2005 when Katrina hit, and we keep on continuing to have these anomaly of storms. We saw Sandy in the Northeast. Who would have thought the Northeast would have received that type of flooding? No one is safe from flooding. We don't know where the next storm is going to come, so we have to be prepared.
It isn't just Florida that's experiencing catastrophic weather events.
This year, with all the snow in the Midwest and the Northeast, we've seen accumulations of snow that we have not seen in many, many years. When you have snow, it has to go somewhere, and it melts, and then we have flooding events.
So are we safe if we don't live close to a body of water?
A large percentage of our flooding events that we see are just rain. You have rain when it rains, and if you have a stopped up drainage situation, you can flood anywhere. You do not have to live near a body of water to have flooding events.
So what's being done to help homeowners afford high rising prices? Most of us are aware of the Bigger Waters Act that was passed in 2012. But homeowners did not receive relief from that bill. A new bill has been passed that will allow homeowners to pass their 2013 flood insurance rate on to a new homeowner should they choose to sell. Also, there will be a limit on yearly premium increases at an average of 15 to 18% based on certain FEMA criteria.
Recent legislation that with House Bill 3370 that just passed is going to help undo some of the challenges that Bigger Waters has presented to us. Bigger Waters caused people to have these astronomical premiums. People could not afford their homes. And with the House Bill 3370, and again, we believe it will be reconciled with the Senate bill and then it's off to the President for signature, it will allow people to look at homes, find homes, and be able to afford their insurance premiums for flood insurance.
Based on your home's location, you may be eligible for a preferred flood policy that starts as low as $129 a year. Call Italiano Insurance for more information.
Say that again. Say that again. I want to hear that one again.
That YouTube video, it was, I mean, we didn't really care about the motion.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, that's all going to be on the website, you know, those handouts and the video.
Fantastic.
Motion to accept the annual report.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I have a comment.
Oh, what's taking you so long?
The way I don't know, Mayor. The weather has not become more and more erratic. It's that way. It's always been that way. What has become more erratic is the improper zoning from, that's right, from communities. Like you don't let a house be built 15 foot below the sea level. And that way Katrina wouldn't have destroyed your house. Yeah.
When you got to look up to see the river, you know you've got a problem. All right, thank you.
The next item, approve renewals for employee health, dental, and life insurance. These all run on the city's fiscal year starting October 1. We would, under this proposal, remain with the current carriers. There is a 5% increase in health or medical insurance coverage, which is, I think, considered pretty moderate and given the current situation with health care. There are some, the health care plan would be the same plan currently utilized with some changes. Benefits are provided through United Healthcare. Those changes basically are related to co-pays for a doctor's visit and prescription, and those would be increasing $5 or $10 each. So tonight I'm recommending that you authorize city manager to contract with the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust for medical insurance and continue coverage for dental and life with the standard.
Thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? The interesting part, Bruce and I were talking today, and I don't remember the exact year, but I mean, we've stayed relatively flat with increases. I think 5% is pretty good, but I think it was, Jim, while you're mayor, I think, what was it, like 13, was it 13%? We were facing a 13% increase. So, I mean, to see 5, I think it's good. The Wellness Center, I think, has helped a lot, and so I think it's, I think we're looking good, so. And we really haven't changed the benefits.
A lot of things that went down since Jim left.
It has nothing to do with that. Yeah.
The economy.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0.
Nothing else this evening.
City Clerk?
I just want to thank Loretta Wyatt for coming up during Citizens Open Forum and expressing the importance of voting. A lot of people will count for the general election, not for the primary election. Well, there's stuff for everybody to vote for, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or nonpartisan. And really, I think a primary vote shapes the general election. It's a power vote.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, because the things you don't vote for are the things that you may object to when it comes to the primary, and you missed your chance to speak your piece. So, and it's so easy now. I don't know what is the turnout, for actually coming to the polls, Loretta? I mean, it's down because of mail-in ballots, that's for sure. Well, in general, or Oldsmar, the turnout, but it doesn't mean less people are voting. I think probably more people are voting, but they're doing it. That's because they come to see you.
Don't tell her that.
It's considerably less than what it should be.
I think the overall is good because they're doing it different ways. They're looking for the easiest way to do it, and they're doing their mail-in ballots. And what'd you say, Jim? How many had been turned in?
9,400.
9,400, and all those people not long ago used to go to the polls, so. Good. That's all?
That's it.
Thank you. City Council, first item, discuss Veterans Day and Memorial Day ceremonies. That was an item that you had kind of requested, and I think we all agreed upon.
Yep. We've agreed that the Veterans Committee get definitely involved in our Memorial Day and our Veterans Day celebrations, and they need to. They have connections that they can get speakers.
Needs to be bumped up a notch. And I think Dave's here. Do you want to address the issue?
Also, I have something that I want to add to this.
Dave Tilke, 505 Arlington Avenue East. I forgot how much fun a city council meeting could be.
That's sarcastic. I'm not sure how to take that at 9:30.
No. I'm the chair of your Veterans Memorial Advisory Committee this year. I've been involved in Veterans Affairs here in Oldsmar since actually the mid-90s, when Tom Pinta called me when we were talking about doing the very first memorial across the street over here. We discussed this at our September meeting a year ago. We discussed this about the quality of speakers we've been getting lately, different things happening at the ceremonies. I know I talked to Mayor Roniker at the time about some of our concerns about the ceremonies. And yes, we do have a lot to offer on the committee. We're all veterans, some many years retired, some combat veterans, Purple Heart awardees. Back when I was on council, the way Memorial Day and Veterans Day used to be done was a council member was actually assigned a holiday. You were told, okay, Veterans Day is coming up and you are going to work with city staff and you're the one that's going to coordinate this year's ceremony. I know when I was on council, I think I scripted 3 or 4 of them, maybe 5 of them. And we tried to mix it up. I know Ed Richards did it when he was on council just before me. We tried to mix it up. Sometimes we would try to get a band, sometimes a bagpipe player, sometimes we'd get a trumpet player for taps, sometimes we'd get somebody to sing. Try to get different types of speakers. Always tried to get a highly decorated motivational type, combat veterans type of speakers, that type of thing. Because the ceremonies can get repetitious. You could go to the ceremony and you say, well, that's exactly what we did last year, and that's exactly what we did the year before. So we used to try to mix it up, and I think over time, I agree, Jerry, things have gotten to where I think just staff is kind of putting the ceremonies together now. We discuss them at our meeting. We only meet twice a year, and it's just before each of the holidays, and review it. But I think that something can be done, possibly using council members to work with city staff and to also work with the committee. And one thing I threw out when I had a discussion with Bruce about this was possibly having a 3-person type, very ad hoc type committee, a council member, a city staff person, and 1 person from our committee for each ceremony. And it could change, it should change with every ceremony, rotate through, so we get different ideas, different thoughts on how the ceremony should be done, and obviously with input from council and many others.
I would like to see the committee itself to make the recommendations. It's fine to have a staff member and a council member on that. And however you want to do your committee, but I think your committee should be the one that sets the standards.
I would agree with that.
It's not that simple.
I know it's not that simple, but yeah.
Can we get up as a committee just to discuss it?
Sure, come on up.
Sure. You know, this committee, if you look at who's on it here.
Yeah, we'll still look at it. But.
You know, this committee isn't the only volunteer work we all do. It seems like every one of us is on 2, 3, 4 other committees, whether they're city committees or volunteer groups or whatever. You know, our time is valuable also. And I don't know that I can't speak for the committee. I don't know that we're prepared to take the lead. We obviously have knowledge. Frank, why don't you talk, we're talking about speakers. We used to get speakers from McDill, and McDill used to provide some wonderful motivational speakers. They've kind of backed off on providing with quality ones. We've gotten some good speakers from the Coast Guard, but not all of our speakers have been the really strong motivational type speakers that we would like to see at the meetings.
Why has McDill backed off, do you think?
Well,
go ahead.
The committee itself, I feel like it's just, we sit down, go through the motions, but it's already a done deal. We have no input in anything that takes place during these services. We might be the Veterans Committee, but we're really not doing anything. Mm-hmm. It was getting to a point where most people didn't even want to return and go back to this committee because our hands were tied. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of speakers out there that we can get. And I would think as a committee, we can throw names around, come out to an agreement, and have a good keynote speaker. There's a number of things we can do. I had some ideas well back when we first put the committee together, getting service organizations out here, getting career services out here for jobs, doing a lot of things. But it just seemed like everything was backing off the city and everything else. So when we sat down, we went through a routine. This is what we have. I'm going to get this. We have this one doing the color guard, so on and so on. Starts at 8, and that's it. No input at all.
Well, Bruce, you said it's not going to be that easy, and it probably won't be, but it may be. Your recommendation?
Well, I like Mr. Tilke's suggestion. I don't know that there's nothing, I'm sure the committee's capable. I mean, another option would be they could do the whole thing. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
But do they have?
Is the committee okay with doing
Might
the
not
whole
have
thing?
time.
It sounded like Dave wasn't wanting to do the whole thing. Well, when we talk the whole thing, are we talking about the keynote speaker? Are we talking about
getting the wreath? Are we talking about?
I mean,
Yeah, I don't think you have to go that far.
I had brought up a name of somebody this past service to bring up the wreath, and we didn't even have a wreath to bring up. So I mean,
I mean, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of it that is repetitious in the sense that it's just the way it is. We acknowledge the people that are there and that, but I think there's the parts that, as Dave said, that kind of give it this as opposed to a static feeling. And I think those are the things, whether it's the keynote speaker and you guys know who you got and you have your connections, and then maybe if it's a different form of an entertainment, whether it's a singer, to do freshen it up a little bit. I mean, I think the city can handle and execute.
We want to be the best show in town.
Right.
Okay, because now we're competing with everybody else. We used to, when we used to have our services, we weren't competing at one time. Now we are. Okay, so in order to be the best show in town, you have to get something to bring the veteran out there.
Right.
And I think we're capable of doing that.
I do too, because it's, something they can do. Recognize who's left of the World War II.
Yeah.
Recognize the Purple Heart people.
And I don't know this to be the case, but I think this is the feeling that we're all feeling is. We even, as the dignitaries that we try and get, I think because we've gone a little static, is that, we don't get the dignitaries to come and that we probably should. And I think we see that, you get somebody's representative to come or this one because they go to another one because probably better than ours, and I don't know, maybe the city gets with the board and figures out what our role is and what you guys might be able to help with. And I think Lynn's group does a great job pulling off the logistics of it all, but maybe there's things that they could turn over to you and, you could find the keynote speaker or whatever it is. I don't know what your thoughts are, but.
Do you need a motion?
I don't know what we need I don't think we need a motion, but.
Well, I mean, I think there would be some distinction, like when I said y'all could do everything, I don't mean, you don't have to bring the flags and put the tent up and things like that.
And set up chairs.
Basically, the city would be responsible for the logistics, as the mayor said, but y'all would be doing the whole program. And you would choose, the speaker, and you would, you can add or subtract from the program, and you would choose, who did the welcome, who led the Pledge of Allegiance, all those things. Y'all can do all that.
Okay, and the city would still be putting together the program then, right?
Oh, yeah. You mean as far as printing the program?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we would do that, but I think as far as the proper way to pull it off, and I think we would pull off the back part of it, and then you guys just, and I mean, you'll get the support of all of us,
Right.
Whether she does the introduction of the keynote speaker and kind of the things that we've always done, I think those will happen. But as far as jazzing it up a little bit and giving it a little bit of a pizzazz, I think you guys.
We have a lot of services out there for veterans, and they'd be more than willing to come out to a facility like we have.
We have a beautiful facility.
A beautiful facility, and we're not utilizing it enough and bringing these people out and giving the veterans something on that particular day. So that would be nice.
Yeah.
It's a great idea because it's almost, it would be a partnership between all of us, Parks and Rec, all of y'all, all of us. We'll do what you ask us to do. If everybody chips in, we can make it a great ceremony. And since I've been on the council, it has gotten kind of repetitious and that's this is a great idea.
Go ahead.
I don't think you need a motion. Mr. Reeves might have some comments he'd like to share.
Yeah, I'd like your input, Lynn. I mean, I think logistically, but you may not even mind turning over parts of it to them to.
He's like.
But meetings.
Yeah, maybe we can have some meetings. Yeah, you guys can call some meetings and invite us to the meetings.
I was going to say, if we're putting this together, we're going to need more than the one meeting we have.
That's what I was going to ask you. I know your time is valuable. Maybe we have a before the, we don't want you to meet you to death, but Lynn?
I got one thing to say. When I go down on Veterans Day and Memorial Day, it's just myself. I feel like, hey, Lynn's crew does a great job. They do. And I really appreciate it. I know these other guys here appreciate the hard work they do setting it up and tearing it down. Okay. Also, every now and then I'll get bored. I'll hand out flags to people coming in. You know, that's just me. I do that on my own. That's why I feel. If I see Lynn's one of the people on the cruise getting behind, I go and help them. That's what I do, okay? But I like to say the people who set it up do a really great job, and I really appreciate it. I guess we all appreciate it.
They do a good job setting it up. Lynn's behind you. You want to say something?
Just to kind of the speaker issue, it'd be great if the advisory board found a speaker, because what we do is we submit paperwork to McDill, and we'll submit paperwork to the Coast Guard, and sometimes McDill comes through, and more times than not they don't, and it's because they have so many ceremonies that they're doing, and it's in the military it's done by a duty roster, and if the roster isn't big or someone's out of town or what have you, then of course they have limited speakers. It's kind of like the color guard we've had a couple times from McDill. They'll come present the colors, but they've got 5 other ceremonies to go too. So,
and I think our objective is to be the one that they do want to come to. You know, if they only have 3, we want us to be one of the 3 that they want to come to.
well, I mean, they come, but they don't retrieve the colors, they leave because.
No, I mean the keynote speaker or whatever it is, you know.
Right, so, you know, that'd be a great help if they're willing to go find the speakers and stuff like that.
Got a problem with the committee to do that? I mean.
So.
There's no problem with me. I would love to be part of picking out who the keynote speaker is going to be.
Okay. On speaking about McDill, Admiral McRaven had a policy. If you wanted somebody from SOCOM 6 months in advance, that was Admiral McRaven's policy, period. That's why we hardly got anybody from McDill to come out and speak out of SOCOM and CENTCOM, because we don't do the 6 months.
Sure. And that's what we got to find out. What is,
then we go to them.
Yeah.
But they ain't going, they will disapprove it right away. I'll tell you what, Sergeant Bell over there, who handles the public affairs, he does a pretty good job. I appreciate his job also. He also told me 6 months. Get it in 6 months yet, and I'll get you somebody.
and I think that's good, and I think that's what's Lynn, you know, let's find out the criteria that they work under and see what we can do to, you know, get our application in there first. And, you know, no disrespect to the people that we've had. They've done great jobs, and we appreciate everything they do.
The thing is, we have so much more.
Sure.
Not ones that are in that McDill.
Sure.
That we can have. We have the heads of Freedom Homes, the ones that build the homes for the veterans, the disabled veterans that come home, Keith Collins and them. There's so many keynote speakers that we can have that's interesting. They get up to speak that we can get. We don't have to worry about a list.
I think there's a multitude of people that you could get. You could have a keynote speaker and maybe somebody that's retired and, you know, can tell stories. What's interesting about it, and I see, is that the kids continue to come out, and we want to make sure that they remember and that they learn why, you know, we're the greatest country in the world. And I think it's important to send a message home with them. And I agree, sometimes the messages, you find yourself getting lost and daydreaming, and you know, it's the kid in the outfield playing with the daisies, he gets lost. But I think if the messages are great, I think it'll raise the level.
We have something we're putting together. It's we call Coming Home Now. It was a reset program we're working with Afghanistan and Iraq veterans. But that's your future. You talk about technology, about future cars, this and that. It's that veteran that we have to attract to bring to these ceremonies, because that's the one that's going to be taking over
the ball
as far as
yes.
Yes.
I agree.
I think it's pretty much set then.
One thing I would ask, it's kind of going off on a tangent, but it really isn't, because we're simply more clearly defining our role. The name of the committee is the Veterans Memorial Advisory Board. I would like to see the word memorial come out of there and let it just be a Veterans Advisory Committee or Veterans Advisory Board. I think it's I don't know if it's by ordinance now or just a resolution. So it would take some action, I guess, but something just semantics, I guess.
Is that a unanimous feeling of the board or committee or whatever? I mean, I think if you guys bring that to us, if that's the desire of them, we could entertain it, right?
I think originally when we set up the committee, it was mainly because we were having issues amongst us with who was going to get engraved on the wall, whether they were a resident or do we make an exception?
It was only originally that this is the third committee. The committees were always just for the memorial, but we have expanded. Now that we've got the park, we've expanded our role some, and gladly so for all of us, I think. For upcoming, with Veterans Day coming up, you're talking about the kids. Problem is the schools, I don't know what day of the week it falls this year, but it's not a school holiday. So if the kids are in school, then they won't be there. But, to move forward, I'll volunteer for the committee to work on this upcoming Veterans Day ceremony. I don't know if you agree with having a...
That's fine.
I don't know if you agree with having a city council person also work with myself and Lynn putting Veterans Day ceremony together, but...
I personally am comfortable with what you guys do. I don't know if maybe we give you one of the past programs which you have and you modify it, because maybe we do insert something else, periodically in there. And as Frank said, we rotate that. You always have your keynote speaker, but maybe we rotate a couple other pieces in there that kind of makes it different every time and unique. And to your resolution, do we want to, Tom, do we want to take something on that, what it's called now and what you would like it changed to, and we could draft a resolution?
They should address that. They should address that at a meeting.
At a meeting, right.
Yeah, let us go through.
Bring it to you.
Right, bring us back what it is and what you'd like it to be.
Let's look at the title and also all the articles in there at our next meeting, and see if there's changes that we feel need to be made that would simply more clarify our scope a little bit of our duties.
We can do that.
That's good.
Okay. And Bruce has something else for?
Yeah, I think you've already answered my first question. I want to be sure that y'all are willing to undertake this and you don't feel like we're dumping something on you. I've gathered from the discussion that y'all are willing. I know you're capable. I don't have any question about that. I just want to be sure that I understood that and it wasn't just an erroneous assumption that y'all are willing to take it on and have a higher level of involvement. So I think you already said yes, but I just want to be sure.
Personally, I think we should be just stepping in to be more actively involved in the current planning process.
When do you guys meet again?
We usually meet late September, and
you can meet next week.
And then we meet just before.
Is that something you guys, that and the resolution, maybe you can discuss and maybe coordinate with Lynn and figure out what role to what level and things like that? Is that and then make sure that it's a consensus of everybody so that Dave Tilkey's not the one. How many people are on the committee?
I think it'll also, the committee can divide things up among themselves. They don't need us to give them advice on how to do that, I don't believe. And actually, my second point was about the meeting. I think there is one scheduled in September, and I would assume then if other meetings are required between that meeting in September and November 11th, y'all could just schedule them when you meet in September. There again, I'm just kind of forecasting how things might move forward between now and then. Does that seem like a reasonable plan?
Yeah, we could discuss all this at our September meeting as a committee, but I personally agree that I will be involved in this upcoming Veterans Day ceremony and as working with city staff, and then we'll discuss it at our next meeting. Good. Maybe if we want to do something a little bit different.
Perfect.
And come back to you.
That's good. Now, what I want to do is that we need to put it on the agenda, or however we need to do this, Bruce, to be a Purple Heart City.
I figured that might come up.
Let me just touch on that a little bit. I just want to read some statistics real quick. Florida has the third largest population, 1.6 million wartime veterans. It makes up 75%. More Vietnam-era 498,000 veterans than any other wartime category. 231,000 veterans of Afghanistan and Iraq in Florida now. 160,000 Florida veterans are women. It's the third largest disabled veterans, 249,000 in the nation. Pinellas County has 95,595 veterans. We have a number of veterans. We have a beautiful park here, and I can't understand why we could not be just just statistic-wise, I believe we have 21 cities that are already Purple Heart cities. I think we have 14 counties. Florida is a Purple Heart state.
What do we have to do to be one?
Well, I have the directions right here, and one of the things that comes up, it says, make sure that you advise the city or the city council, whoever's doing it, that no cost will incur to the county. Okay, the basic thing like they did down in Dunedin was to write a proclamation from there, and they do have sample proclamations, or you could copy and paste the one from Dunedin and make the proclamation from the city, from the mayor, from the council, that yes, we intend to do it. Then we send it to the director of the Purple Heart, and he happens to be in California to make sure everything's right and all the wording's correct on it. And then we just proceed as a committee from there.
There is a fee, but I'm going to say that now, because when Dunedin became the Purple Heart City, Anderson, who was in the state legislation, came to me about the monument. And I got with Charlie Price over in Tallahassee, and they were able to work out the pricing. The Purple Heart doesn't provide the monument, but now they've changed their rulings on the monument, meaning the city can put make it up any way they want, put whatever they want on it. There's only a couple of stipulations that have to be on it, the Purple Heart, and a couple of things that have to be said on the monument.
Why don't you give Bruce that resolution?
Well, I was going to say, can we?
Yes, I've got I spoke actually today to the National Commander, and he's sending me over all the information. We can even have them made up locally, but I can get all the pricing and all the information that's required on it.
Can we put that on an upcoming agenda, and they can either provide it to us at the meeting or prior to?
As soon as I get the material, we can put it on the agenda, I think.
All right. I should have that emailed in the next couple of days to me.
Okay.
Frank?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason why not.
So 95,000 veterans, and the lady before said there was 900 and something thousand people in Pinellas County. 1 out of every 10 Pinellas County residents is a veteran. God bless you.
Yes. And believe me, Oldsmar is becoming more of a veteran city than, it's unbelievable. Like I said, just doing the claims, I turn around, I live in Oldsmar. Really? There's more Oldsmar residents, just in Golair. There's a number of them. I mean, it's just unbelievable how many are moving into this city. And it's not just because it's a beautiful city, but if you look at that Veterans Park, I haven't seen anything like that around this area. So,
can you get us flyovers? No.
Well, thank you, and thanks for your service, and thanks for all your efforts on moving us forward to a better celebration at our Veterans Park. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Next item, approve excused absences of Vice Mayor Norris. I believe it's a workshop and a council meeting, right? Workshop was because you got in a wreck, right? Of course, we made sure that you weren't hurt, and then we said that's what you get for having an electric car.
Then I went out of town.
You're out of town.
Yeah.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Thank you, guys.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Passes. Next is comments by council. Councilmember Bieberlin.
I just, you're going to be surprised, Mayor. I just want to congratulate Jack Ledballer for a great article this morning in the St. Petersburg Times.
That's a shock.
And thank you all for who you are.
Member Roniger.
I'll be very brief. School just started, so please be careful out there. The kids are back at the bus stops, and my son actually went to school yesterday. He drove, but it's kind of ridiculous. He's got to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go to school.
Oh.
It just doesn't make sense.
Preparing him for the workforce.
Huh?
Preparing him for the workforce.
Yeah, but anyway. And then Tuesday's election day. Please go out and vote. Our veterans sacrificed a lot for the opportunity for our freedoms, and if you don't vote, don't complain.
Yep.
That's right.
I agree with that. Vice Mayor Norris.
I'm going to be brief too. It's late. Good luck, Jim. Everybody go out and vote for Jim. Roniker. So I'm asking everybody to go out and vote for you.
Thank you.
So, and happy belated birthday. I hope it didn't trump you.
You
But
did trump me, but
I
it's
just saw it on Facebook and I sent her a card. And that's it. I want to slate. So
Councilmember McGee.
Happy birthday to Ann. I sent her a text. And then just lastly, at the Florida League of Cities, I went to the Women Elected to Municipal Government Luncheon, which Janice Miller was the former president of that organization. And she was actually the person that invited me at the last league conference. And it was kind of ironic because I had emailed them asking if they were going to be doing a tribute or needed photos, things of that nature. And they said yes, they wanted to do something. And when I showed up on the program was my name doing the tribute. Luckily, I knew her very well. But it was ironic because at the last league luncheon, we were talking, and she said, I want to get you as the speaker for the next luncheon. And then here I was speaking on her behalf. So it was kind of sweet and bittersweet. But
Full circle.
Yeah, so I did get to do a nice tribute to her, and it was just really nice to have all those women there and mayors and council members there that are able to hear that. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you. I don't have much. I want a couple of things that school has started, as Jim mentioned. We did the backpack drive, and they distributed 72 backpacks with school supplies to the kids in need. So thanks to everybody that donated that. Definitely watch out for the kids. They're not used to you, some of them, and you're not used to them being in the areas at a certain time, so do watch out for them. We do have Celebrate Oldsmar coming up Friday, August 29th, and Saturday, August 30th. It's free. Carnival rides, food, beverages. It's free to get in, I should say. Stormbringer on Friday night and the Black Honkies on Saturday night, followed by a beautiful fireworks display. If you haven't seen our fireworks display, I think they challenge anybody in Pinellas County, so we have some great things. Prior to meeting with Bruce today, I got back to Oldsmar a little bit early, so I decided to kind of take the ride around, and it's exciting. I went to Hayes Park Villages and saw what's going on there, and they've got some building permits that they should be getting very soon and starting, I believe you said, 2 of the spec units, and so that's exciting. So I also went to Wellington Estates and drove through there. And I got to tell you, I know there was some opposition to State Street going through the racetrack, but I have a real estate listing over off the old on Racetrack, and it was great to just zip right through State Street, and it looks great. Wellington's got 4 homes, under construction. The blocks are almost up. They've got a 5th one starting, so I drove through there. I went back to the environmental center and talked to the guys building that back there, and it's really coming along. It's exciting to see that. Tuscany Woods went by both those facilities, and they should be I don't know when, do they have any building permits in, or how close are they to?
No, they're doing site development.
They're doing still infrastructure. Yeah, they're doing some infrastructure there. I talked to, the site next to Famous Tate is really coming along. I talked to Nick about the Thorntons, and he said that as we were speaking this afternoon, I think texting is actually now considered speaking, but he says as we're speaking, they're getting county approval on that, and they said that they should be starting demolition on that within the next 30 days. Drove through the Ross Plaza, and it's exciting to see that coming to fruition, and it really is looking good. I don't know what the other tenants might be that are in there, and so it's exciting. I mean, all over the city, we've got some growth going on, and it's a great city to be a part of. So that was a fun drive around. Other than that, I don't have anything else other than, if anybody else, Tom, you got anything? Bruce, anything?
Not me.
Not me.
Just a reminder, I will not be here at the September 3rd meeting.
Oh, that's right.
That's the next time we meet.
Okay.
So
Motion
it's not
for the
because I won or lost, it's just I was already not going to be here.
Need a motion for the tentative agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
No one wants
All right, we won't have a meeting. What happens if we don't get a second? We don't have a meeting?
Jerry seconded it.
You don't have a tentative agenda.
Oh, okay, all right. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Before 10.
Good call.